2020 now.
This is more. It's having the time of your life with the love of your life. Feel free to experience more with Norwegian Cruise Line.
Australians keep watch over their homes but ignore home insurance premium rises.
Hey, I have CCTV.
So while you know see, you can also compare and save.
It pays to compare.
You can also compare and save.
It
At
pays.
Homecare, we've been caring for people for more than
Hi,
90
Di.
years.
Good to see you.
This robotic puppy looks
I got a couple of nice shirts down at the shops.
so real, it completely fooled my neighbour who's a veterinarian.
Come on,
I've been a grandmother for
Jump.
15 years, and this is the smartest purchase.
jump up.
9. And also there's another asteroid coming in 2032, but we won't think about that. Anyway, there's 40,000 asteroids that have been spotted. But the thing is,
He's all blurry, Diane. That's not me. That's his camera.
10,000 of these asteroids have been spotted in the last 3 years. So the increase of rocks going past us, near missing us, has increased dramatically in the last 3 years. And this is what Mike from around the world's been saying, that it's coming, that the amount of rocks, the amount of asteroids and meteorites, the amount of interstellar objects and things that are headed in our direction, it's massive. According to Mike, it's a 2 million mile wide of rocks headed. How in the world does the earth escape it? How do we miss them all? According to the Bible, we don't. There will be 2 deep impacts that will hit the earth.
Diane, how about I grab a razor and jump in the shower and have a shave?
It will be so traumatic that it will wipe out a third of the fish of the oceans and a third of the ships of the sea. And the second one that hits will be the star called Wormwood that will bring radiation poisoning that would make the fresh water so bitter that many men will die from the radiation poisoning. And that not counting the fact that it will cause massive earthquakes, such as like the world has never seen before, according to Jesus Christ, and volcanoes erupting. And as it says in the book of Joel, there'll be blood and fire and pillars of smoke, and the moon will be darkened.
Diane, they're only going to keep tech guys who can work on the robots. All the rest are going to get sacked. Wow, I didn't see this coming.
And the sun will be darkened and the moon will turn to blood. Now, these are the apocalyptic scenario that is coming. And you can't deny them because they're in the Old Testament prophets like Isaiah 24 or in Joel 2 or in Matthew 24, Mark 13, Luke 21. Jesus tells us about all this. And then you can go read 2 Peter chapter 3. And then you can also read the book of Revelation. And oh, by the way, don't forget the book of Daniel. And all of these things are put into a timeline that's hard to understand because God didn't want to give us the plan too early. And he definitely didn't want us to try to figure out the date. He didn't even tell Jesus what the date is. The angels sit around the throne are trying to figure it out. They don't know. You and I sure don't know. But he said, but let me tell you this. I won't tell you the date, but I'll tell you what will be going on when that time comes. And there'll be the chaos in the land, wars and rumors of wars, and pestilence, plagues, pandemics, epidemics. There'll be evil, as it was in the days of Noah, as it was in the days of Lot. There'll be wickedness. There'll be impacts, deep impacts. There will be all kinds of traumatic events going on. And these are going to increase to the point that you will see the day approaching. Won't know the day or the hour, Jesus said, but you'll see the day approaching. You'll know you're getting close.
Hey, Phil, good to see you, bro.
And so people need to give their lives to Jesus.
Diane, it's only the Christian that's aware of what's going on, isn't it? The deep down stuff, it's the Christian that knows what's going on. It's no one else, no other religion.
Jesus Christ. They need to be saved and washed in the blood and really understanding the time we are in, because it is getting closer and closer and closer. And folks, Jesus is coming. You got to know that you're saved. I'll be right back after that, after this song. Have you been to Jesus for the cleansing power? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? Are you fully trusting in His grace this hour? Are you washed in the blood of the
I'm just going to go back to the shop.
What'd you forget?
Oh, I bought some frozen onions with their good.
Okay. You need my card?
Oh,
Okay.
actually.
Lamb? Are you washed in the blood, in the soul cleansing blood of the Lamb? Are your garments spotless? Are they white as snow? Are you washed in the blood of the
I like Paul Begley songs. I can't help it.
Lamb?
Good pianos in the piano. Yeah.
What?
Are you serious?
Are you walking daily by the Savior's side? Are you washed in the blood
I
of
died.
the Lamb? Do you rest each moment in the crucified? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? Are you saved? Or are you washed in the blood, in the soul cleansing blood of the Lamb? Are your garments
Only costs for $9 to get washing Paul's blood of the Lamb.
spotless? Are they white as snow? And be washed in the blood of the Lamb. Come on.
Hey, Lars. Oh, Lars was showing up because he knew Paul Begley songs were playing. Oh, you're with me, Lars. You like Paul Begley.
When the bridegroom cometh, will your robes be white? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? Will your soul be ready for those mansions bright and be washed in the blood
of the Lamb?
Are you washed in the blood, in the soul cleansing blood of the Lamb? Are your garments spotless? Are they white as snow? Are you washed in the blood of the Lamb? Now lay aside those garments that are stained with sin and be washed in the
50,000. Wow.
blood of the Lamb.
Oh, no, 5,000. Right. That's still a lot.
There's a fountain flowing for the soul unclean. Will be washed in the blood of the Lamb. Are you washed in the blood, in the soul cleansing blood of the Lamb? Are your garments spotless? Are they white
Okay, this song's going too long.
as snow? That was 23. So, as of September of this year, the Bible had sold 11% more, and then in September, there was 2.4 million Bibles that were purchased after the death of Charlie Kirk. Exploded.
Wow.
People wanted to know what the Bible said. As of today, right now, there's been 18 million Bibles have sold this year so far.
18
Still got the month of
million.
December to go. Sales for Bibles have been steadily growing since
That's outrating Harry's spare.
2021 and have set unprecedented annual sale records. Now, I'm going to tell you where I think this happened. When the election ended, J6 situation, after and Joe Biden took the White House, immediately sales of Bibles took off. And since 2021, 22, 23, 24, and even this year, continuing, there's been an explosion in people wanting to know what the Bible says about these end times.
That is great news, isn't it, guys?
And because look, you had the pandemic in 2020. You had the crazy election year. You had the rioting in 35 cities in 2020. You had the Biden got 84 million votes. You've seen all this stuff happening, and people start saying, "What is going on?" We started seeing the surveillance. We've seen the growth.
Hello, Alley
the
Cat. Didn't
explosion
see you
of
there.
God. We see what's happening. Everything is changing. And then Putin goes and invades Russia, invades Ukraine in 2022. And then Israel gets hit by Hamas and that Holocaust in 2023. And so all of a sudden, people are realizing, hey, there's something in the Bible about all this stuff. And that's why I believe it's been exploding. Yet there's other people saying that they don't believe in God. They don't want nothing to do with God. And it's exactly what the Bible said would happen in the last days.
Thus, we're a small channel here, but we're what Christ is looking for in the end days. He doesn't want the prosperity churches and that. He wants people like us, normal people. He's going to use people like us in the tribulation. I bet he does.
And that is, you would have this end time revival would come. The same time, the great falling away will happen. The Bible says, except there come a great falling away, the end will not come. And the Bible also says, when this gospel is preached into all the world, witness unto all nations, then will the end come.
Where you been, Ellie?
And so the Bible talks about this great outpouring in the end days in Joel 2, the former and the latter rain. In other words, Jesus said there'll be a great harvest. You say there's 4 months till harvest. He said, I'm saying, look out there on the field. They're white already for harvest. And the Bible talks about in Revelation of the angel coming and putting its sickle into the earth and harvesting the earth, the great gathering. So here's what I believe. And this is why this book back here it's #2 hot seller today at Amazon. And we don't even, people are just ordering it, pre-ordering it. Because I think what's happened is this. People are realizing there's something going on. And they want to know, is the beast rising? Trump's fighting against it. They know where he stands. He stands with the Christians. He stands with the Jews. He stands with Israel. He stands for the flag. Yeah, he's not the perfect Christian. I'm not either. Some of you I don't think are either. Maybe a couple of you.
He's not a Christian, Paul. He's admitted he's not a Christian. He likes the Christians, but he's not a Christian.
Out there. But everybody can see what's going on the last days. And so then Charlie Kirk gets gunned down for sharing his faith in the colleges. And you think that made the college kids want nothing to do with Jesus? You got it wrong. The college children or college kids they're saying, give me the truth. Give me the word of God. And they're digging the Bible out. They're finding it.
Yeah.
And they're buying it. And they want to know, this is the end time. This is what it means. The Bible says in the last day, men will run to and fro and knowledge will increase. That's AI. Wickedness is increasing, but so is the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I forgot to get pet food. It's all too hot.
Oh, you literally mean your dad.
We repeat
Prayers for your dad, Ellie. Big prayers for your dad, mate.
deliveries from Swaggle. Too easy. Swaggle, the Too Easy pet store. Too easy.
Have you heard about SiteGround's new deals? Hosting plans are now 85% off. Plus, you get a free domain and site transfer. Spend less. Get reliable, secure, and fast hosting with all the premium features you need for success.
Iris, I need you to come and work with me. This machine could cure cancer tomorrow.
There are weapons.
I left that on
Folks,
because Vast likes to see the Australian ads, so that's why I left it on.
we're in a battle, and so you can order your copy of Trump versus the Beast tonight. But also but we're only 8 days away from the prophecy predictions of 2026. So I can't forget about that because we're only 8 days away. this is going to be such a powerful webinar. I mean, dear Lord, have mercy. This thing is going to be incredible. It's incredible, the information that we'll be bringing in this one. This might be the best one. And in the last two, everybody said, the one before and that last one. But this is the one, this is going to set you up for 2026, because obviously we're living in a very prophetic time like never before, folks. Like never before.
Mike from around the world set a date last week, didn't he? He said around the 14th of December, something was going to happen. I can't remember what it was he said was going to happen, but he did set a date. It wasn't a rapture. He's not suggesting that. Can anyone remember what he was talking about last week?
Matter of fact, let me tell you how prophetic it is and how wild it's getting. The earth can't power the future.
Yeah.
That's what Elon Musk and NVIDIA's CEO Jensen Huang said in a conference. They met with Saudi Arabia's Minister of Communications and Information Technology. Elon Musk and NVIDIA's CEO Jensen Huang sat down to discuss the future of artificial intelligence during an event that was on November the 19th in Washington, D.C. While President Trump was sitting there talking to Mohammed bin Salman of Saudi Arabia, these guys were together talking about the future of AI in Washington. And Earth simply does not have the energy or the cooling capacity to support the next generation of AI in these guys' view. Supercomputers, D-Wave computers, will soon outgrow the planet. They'll force humanity to push computation into orbit, because you can't just keep building these underground cities with these massive computers that have to have tons of water to keep them cool and tons of electricity, which is draining our system up on top of the earth.
Voss, there's guys out there that do reactions to Australian ads, and they show some of our best ads.
So now what they're saying is they're going to need to build these data centers and let them orbit the earth, or maybe stick them on the moon, because in deep space, guys, it is cold.
No one can hear you scream.
These supercomputers, these data centers, they won't have to have water to keep them cool. Space is so cold, it will keep them cool. And also, the sun is a lot hotter, so they can use solar panels, and there's nothing blocking it. There's no clouds, nothing blocks it. So that these orbiting data centers will be fueled from the solar panels from the sun. Direct sunlight will cause them to have the power. And then, of course, the coldness will keep them cool, and so they will operate. So Elon Musk came up with this ideal and has been meeting with other nations and other industry leaders. Musk is saying that if civilization continues on a stable trajectory that we're on, AI in space is inevitable. We need to reach, and we have to come up with this right away, because we can't keep building these data centers in the ground and the amount of energy and water. We have to build so many nuclear facilities and drain the grid. The thing to do is to go ahead and make these gigawatts and terawatts of power,
come on,
be from the sun, direct sunlight, and let the coldness of deep space keep these data centers cold. So this is the cooling of the supercomputers in orbit. NVIDIA says it will work, and so does Elon Musk. And Saudi Arabia said they'd be willing to invest in it. Now, this is a game changer, really, on how people are thinking out there. But it shows you that men are running.
There's people who are saying that Saudi prince is the Antichrist.
To and fro, and knowledge is increasing. And I was watching a show last night called the Ancient Apocalypse, and it was It's about all the ancient civilizations, and you've got all those. You've got the pyramids. You got the Egyptian pyramids. We got the Mayan pyramids. You have the Peruvians. You have in the Amazon different things. You have all over the world. I mean, Easter Island, those heads. There's 1,000 of those heads that were carved with these down in Peru. These things weigh some of them weigh 100 tons. I mean, are you serious? 100,000 tons. Unbelievable, huge stones carved with what looks like laser beam, stacked in without mortar, tight as just incredible. But how'd they do it? And so, what kind of technology? Now, there's what the Bible says. They were building a tower, the Tower of Babel, in Babylon, along the Euphrates River. And as they were building this thing up, God looked down from heaven.
Nah, she's been a lot better. She was coughing all day, every day a week ago. Now she only does it when she's exerted.
And said, whoa, they have figured out the technology that they can climb into the heavens. In other words, they not only know how to build, they've learned how to come up into the heavens. They've learned how to defy gravity. They've learned there's nothing they won't do. They can do anything now. So God scrambled the languages on the planet and set them back for a while. But we have now returned. We now have the capability. We're already doing it. We're climbing into the heavens. We're already doing it. And so God knows that the time is short.
Ali, she's got a collapse in esophagus, and it's just going to gradually get worse. But we're fighting with the meds, and it seems to be working.
This is why with all the evil and the wickedness and the wars and all the diseases and the plagues and the hating on one another, but also the advancement of technology. This is what's bringing about the beast kingdom. It is coming fast, and that means Jesus is coming faster. And so people need to get ready because we're living in the last days. And we're going to have Mike from the World join us here in a few minutes. We pray and believe.
Thank you, Ali.
A strong word for you tonight. Also, don't stop praying for Hong Kong, please.
Hong Kong.
These high-rise towers, these burning infernos. The death toll now is at 83. There's over 50-some people in.
Guys, what do you make of that? Because 5 towers got burnt. What do you make of that? Was it a psyop or what?
Critical condition in
Was it the government?
Hospitals, and there is 250 people still missing.
Wow.
And they're feared dead. This was horrific.
Wow.
8 of these 32-story towers caught on fire. 8 of them.
I thought it was 4.
32 stories high. The wind just blew and they just kept catching them on fire.
It looked like a 15-minute city when they took footage from the air. Exactly what it looked like, a 15-minute city.
These were housing complexes, apartment complexes, and a lot of elderly people lived in them. Now, miraculously, they got a lot of them out of it. But still, crazy. It's sad. It's horrible. And it happened in Hong Kong, and I really want you to pray for these people because it's too traumatic for anybody even to comprehend. So we're living in these end times right now. We really are. Here's Kevin Wilson. Look, how about a spiritual high?
I'm on a spin.
I don't like him 2 songs. I like about one of them, and that's about it.
As I did yesterday.
A little bit ago, she's only 20 years old, and she two blocks from the White House, and she was shot and killed.
Oh,
Another soldier with her, is critically wounded, is in the hospital right now in critical condition. Thank God that the brave fighters, the third guards member then attacked the suspect with a pocket knife, and a fourth one then opened fire and shot him. And he's not dead. So he will be, after he gets out of the hospital, he will be dealt with. But how many of them are out there?
Mhm.
And that's what I'm going to ask Mike tonight. How serious is the sleeper cell situation? Now, I did get a report from one of the government insiders
Wow.
who sent this to us this evening and said, across the vast landscape of the United States, there exist thousands of sleeper cells, each comprising groups of 3 to 7 individuals, strategically organized based on their specific assignments. These covert factions are not solely focused on military personnel. Their reach extends to law enforcement officers, firefighters, those within medical field. As time progresses, we will witness a disturbing trend where these cells will begin to target hospitals and doctors' offices, and critical care facilities. Their operations will escalate to large public venues, particularly those where minority communities gather, amplifying their impact. The activation of these sleeper cells presents a palpable threat, one that authorities may struggle to pinpoint as their precise locations remain unknown. The danger they pose is very real.
With world-class expertise and local insight, Dixis creates value.
After raising 3 kids and 8 grandchildren, I've never seen a toy create this much genuine happiness. I've been a grandmother for 15 years, and this is the smartest purchase I've ever made. Last month, I got my granddaughter Emma this smart robotic
Bart says this is a real dog. What do you think, guys?
stuffed animal. Woofy has smart technology inside that recognizes Emma's voice and responds to her. He sits on command, barks when you talk to him, walks around the house, even tilts his head and wags his tail.
I'd love to own one of them, but Bart reckons it's a real dog, and the battery dog doesn't work as good as that.
Tactical military drill.
Pretty good dog.
Conducted in downtown Atlanta. There's a strong likelihood that the strategies and tactics being developed during these exercises will soon be put to the test in a real world scenarios. Now, we know that there's semi-truck drivers running over police officers on the side of the highway. This is happening a lot. And you're not always getting to hear it, but it's happening a lot all over the country. So, and then you have 17,000 illegals were given CDL license to drive these 18-wheelers in the state of California. State of California gave 18,000 illegals a CDL license. And now these guys are driving the big rigs all across the country in every state. And they're crashing into people. And I'm not saying that they're all bad drivers. I think some of this is deliberate.
Yeah, Diane, it does look like a real dog.
And Lord only knows how many more of these sleeper cells that have been, some of them.
If they can make a dog do that robot stuff and be real, why aren't they doing it to robots and they can look after us in the house?
Legal and some of them legally.
Because they're not that advanced.
But they're here just waiting for the
Moo.
Just waiting.
Come on.
For the time
down.
To make
good girl.
Their move. And Afghanistan, the Taliban, which is the biggest, this was the most horrific debacle on the face of the earth under the Biden administration, has put this nation now at risk. And I think you can tell They're
No,
building
Moo,
up,
come
they're
here.
preparing.
Come on.
This is going to be some kind of a,
Stop
I don't know
coughing,
what kind of
darling.
attack it's going to be, but you're going to see some lone
Calm
wolf ones
down.
like we
Just
saw in
calm
Washington,
down.
D.C. But there's going to be a lot more than this. Okay. Yeah, there is going to be more and more and more lone wolf attacks, but then soon there's going to be more sophisticated attacks. But what I worry about is this all-out assault. I mean, my concern is 10,000 radical jihadis.
Yeah, Vars, I haven't made robots that good as that dog supposedly is. If they had things like that as good as that, we'd already have them washing up the dishes and that for us.
Launching attacks
No, man,
across
calm
the
down.
nation
Shh, come on.
simultaneously. And electric plants, nuclear facilities, water treatment plants, hospitals, nursing homes, schools, churches. I mean, trucks driving into things, crashing into buildings, people shooting people in the streets. If there was, imagine 10,000 sleeper cells being turned loose in 1 hour, at 1 hour, across them, how would anybody deal with it? How would the law enforcement deal with it? How would anybody be able to deal with that if it just happening everywhere? Guys, that is exactly what I am concerned about. I've seen vision of it. So, I mean, I'm very concerned about it. But I'm going to ask Mike around the world and let's find out what we can, just how serious is this thing? And maybe we're better shape than I think. Joining us right now from somewhere, Mike from around the world. God bless you, Mike. How you doing? Happy Thanksgiving, Mike. Happy Thanksgiving.
To basketball season.
Do you have any turkey today or no?
Not yet.
Okay.
Didn't need a drop today. Not yet.
You haven't had a chance to
Not
eat.
yet.
You haven't. Well, I'm going to have some after the show's over. Okay, again, but just a little snack. I think it's okay. Mike,
You'll be good.
Mike, tonight, very concerned. Yeah, I know you probably already know that Sarah Beckstrom, 20-year-old young, National Guard, she died. The other one's in critical condition.
Wow, she was only 20 years old and died in the line of duty. That's so sad.
What a horrible thing to happen. Two blocks from the White House. Was the Afghani, was he just a lone wolf or is he just part of a broader network?
He's part of a huge network, a huge problem, actually. You know, it's bad that this incident is the incident that causes people to bring awareness to it. We have real issues here in the USA concerning sleeper cells, and we have had those since 2010.
Did we have, okay, you know, during the debacle, this guy's from Afghanistan, and I know he even worked with the CIA when he was over there, but ever since the debacle of the Joe Biden debacle with Afghanistan and the shutting that down and the people and the floodgates wide open, the southern book.
Man, that was shocking the way everyone left Afghanistan. Now the Taliban are beheading women and making all the women wear burqas, heavy burqas.
And all of this. I mean, we went through a four-year period there of I don't know how many people came into
And you left all your equipment there for them.
this country. Do you, since 2010, you're saying we've had a sleeper cell issue, but has it exponentially grown during those 4 years of the Biden administration?
Good question.
Well, when Biden, that move that was made, you know, where they took in all those refugees.
Right.
Actually, it's not just us. These are guys that are in the UK, Germany, and other places. At that time, it was not a big issue because many of the guys who had worked with the U.S. for many years, right?
Yeah.
When you have an operative in the Middle East that works with the military for about 5-6 years, that should be a trusted individual.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
And when they come over to the USA, you wouldn't really consider them being a sleeper cell, but they have to address the problem. Since 2010, we've had Russians, and in fact, in 2010, we had a big bust of the KGB sleeper agents here in the USA.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. And that investigation happened over many years, and we only, during that time, that would constitute probably about 2% of what was inside the USA, still to this day, right, to this very day. So you had that buildup. You had all these Syrian operatives after that were in the USA, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And now these guys are living normal lives. You have, of course, the Biden years and the Obama years and some other years. But here's the problem. You get these folks who come over here to the USA. Are they genuine in their assimilation with the USA? Yes. The problem is faith. When America, right, or anybody else for that matter, when they start to target foreign nations, right?
Yeah.
When you start messing with the homeland of an immigrant, any immigrant, and this is what even the intelligence community, this is known, and it's pastor is one of those problems that you could kick everybody out of this nation that recently came here and still have the problem, because once a person has their nation in their heart and their faith in their heart, that nation is attacked. A person will revert back to their faith and loyalty to that nation based in that faith. It'd be like if Christians were all of a sudden, if Israel became the target of a nation, specifically Jerusalem, right?
Yep.
Every Christian believes in the words of Christ would be up in arms, even those who were not born there, right? So that would be a very difficult situation for others to face, especially a Christian in a Muslim nation. They would all be up in arms. This is what you face. When it becomes a faith problem, when the core of the issue attacks somebody's faith, you can wake everybody up. Everybody of that faith who is loyal to their faith, who is loyal to their roots, their ancestors, so on and so forth. They will not side with whatever they assimilated with. They will fall back on their faith. That's the issue we're facing. So that's a bad situation. Personal.
I just haven't got the patience to read a book now. There's just too much going on YouTube and the politics, and I check all this every day, all day. So do you guys. But that's what I do, spend all day doing things like this. I haven't got time to read a book.
No, it's underestimated.
I can make time, but I'm enjoying what I'm doing.
And we're going to pay. We were surprised. This was a surprise.
Yeah.
And that should get everybody's attention, right? No one was prepared for this.
No.
And no one will be prepared for the next one.
Well, yeah.
Is it so? This guy was a lone wolf.
He's a money grubber, isn't he, Di?
But he probably was. Is it strategically? You think they're going to use lone wolf attacks here, there, while the whole time the massive amounts of sleeper cells, and then what we're hearing is that sleeper cells are somewhere between 3 and 7 individuals to a cell.
Now that number you just gave would be that likely be a found number, a located number, which means communications have been captured, and those have been identified.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Not as far as their absolute location,
No.
But as far as rhetoric
Yeah.
is concerned,
Right. Chatter.
but no, that I would say that would give
Yeah, Ali, it's a really, really good book. It covers gnomes, giants, Atlantis, everything you could think of, and he links it all back to the fallen angels. Genesis 6, Gary Wayne, the Genesis 6 conspiracy. It's a really brilliant book.
just about maybe 20% of the ones that are here in this nation. Now, if we take, for example, what's been happening as far back as 2005, some of the people from these sleeper cells have been in this nation over 20 years.
Yeah. That's a long
Okay,
time.
so
Yeah.
this is what you're facing. You don't know who's going to turn, right? And the government's going to face. They will begin to face a problem that they're not going to win by conventional means. You cannot discern if a person is going to change into one of these individuals who would assault this nation, right?
No, you
Because you
don't.
have entire families who can listen and wait for a call to be activated, right? Say, for example, you have a sleeper cell in one house. In that neighborhood, everybody's going to know about that sleeper cell, right? So when that sleeper cell is
Hey, Andrew, good to see
you have
you.
standard Americans who've been here for a long time, if they agree with the
Welcome
message,
to the channel,
they
mate.
will act with sleeper cell. Each like maybe 100, 200 people.
That's a lot
So
of people.
imagine 7 people influencing 1 to 200 people, right?
That's
You're looking at thousands
that's thousands.
of these larger groups.
Andrew, I used to think David Icke was a nut job, but since I've become Christian, I completely believe in what he teaches. They're reptilians and that.
Groups, and that's of the
I don't think he realizes they're fallen angels, though.
known ones.
Yeah.
And that number only constitutes those they have discerned or picked up by communications, by different means. So yeah, we have a problem. A
And
big problem.
this digital
Okay, Ali,
using the
good to
term,
see you. God bless.
digital terrorist, is that the right term? Digital.
Cyber terrorism.
No, they call digital sleeper cells is the term that they're using
Oh.
out there. I mean, in other words, they're getting people
To
radicalized.
enact or vote.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
again,
Sustain presents all
Diane Bobo didn't show up yesterday either.
types of dry eye relief. Starring Tina, the tired one. Sustain Complete, a solution. Its HP Gua formula adapts to your eye's unique needs. Open your eyes to all types of dry eye relief.
this boils down. Look at what's happened in the USA. Trump comes into power. Trump starts cleaning the nation up. This was inevitable.
Yeah.
Before Trump came into power, many of us had discussions concerning the same thing.
Yeah.
So he comes into power. Other people are being put out of the nations. And to be truthful, this is why the Democrats avoided expediting certain getting people out of this nation all at the same time, so that they would not. They don't want to tip the scales, but somebody had to do it, right?
Yeah, it had to
But
be
when you
done.
do it, it becomes visible. Now we have 7 or 8 nations of people who have been ejected from this nation. We have made some enemies. The
Yeah.
cartels
Yeah.
have sworn vengeance against the U.S., against U.S. leaders, civilians, just anybody they can get their hands on. So you have these other groups, and if they are radicalized by way of the Islamic faith, everybody's a target, right? An infidel to them is an infidel, and so if it's a child,
Come
so be
on,
it.
move.
If it's not a child,
I'm
so
back
be
to
it.
picking you up
Right.
every 3
And
minutes
this is
that
what we're
night. It's not going to happen
And
all day.
they're also joining forces, in other words, the drug cartels and the Islamists and maybe the communists.
To a degree, yes, to a degree.
They'll work together, right?
Oh yeah, they're gonna fuel each other's efforts. But Pastor, the this should be a wake-up call. It should demonstrate to everybody that at all times, right? And also, this is God's mercy, because this incident could have happened 10,000 times by now.
Yeah. So,
But it didn't. It didn't. I don't believe in coincidence.
No.
I believe that everybody was able to see this. And if they're a believer, they should take notice, right? That's these problems will escalate. They're going to escalate.
yeah.
Likely beyond I hate to say this, but beyond the control of most, right?
Andrew, they didn't let David Icke come out to Australia about a year ago. They barred his entry.
It is at the root, it is a faith-based issue.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. It is.
At its core, that makes it a spiritual problem.
And that's a big
Yeah.
part, because if people,
That's
when
right.
people, their faith, they will fight to the bitter end to the death.
right.
when it
That's
comes
right.
to that. All right, I got something else for you to think about. This came out. Germany. There was a classified document that Germany had put together that somehow leaked. Maybe it was deliberately leaking. I don't know, but it's the blueprint of Germany building their own army and starting the process of how to protect themselves as part of NATO against Russia. What they're saying is that Russia is going to attack NATO countries by 2029, and that Germany believes that they've got to completely build a military force in conjunction with the United States and NATO troops to protect against the Russian battle. So it's Germany's secret plan. Do you know anything about the plan, or
Yeah, it's a legit.
Last we had 2 young men from Australia go to Mexico sometime in the last 12 months, and they murdered him for their car. They were down at the beach and got murdered for his pickup truck.
Went,
And they were brothers, and we felt so sorry for the parents because they got on the news and that and spoke about it. It was terrible.
for both.
But more fools them going to Mexico. You wouldn't catch me there.
It's a legitimate paper. It's kind of like Jane Helm, right?
Yeah.
Or something like that. So there's always some sort of simulation based on real data where you would have to engage your enemy, and they believe by 2030, the actual date was by 2030, that Russia, they would have to be prepared to handle Russia. Now, my estimation in this, they wrote that some time ago.
Yeah.
So I'd say that number now is probably around 2026.
Wow, that's next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
2026
This
would be right at deadline.
document was written 2.5 years ago, right after Russia invaded Ukraine, and it says the blueprint details that Russia, the 1,200-page document, that we need 800,000 German, U.S., and NATO troops to be prepared to create, be able, ready to go to fight against Russia and a Russian invasion. Yeah. And Russia could move in on a lot of different directions. There's a lot of different nations that along its border. I mean, I don't know who's the most weakest. Is it the Baltic nations, or do you think this the?
Well, I think that right now everything is a little different because
I
of their
just picked you up.
state.
I'm not
They're
picking
the
you up
same way they
every
were
3
2
minutes
years ago.
all day.
They're different now. They expect
Hop
or
up,
are
up
more
down,
prepared
stay down.
for
One
some
on the
sort
other.
of incursion.
I'm done picking
So
you
I
up.
would say Russia has likely altered its tactic. Here's what I mean by that.
Okay.
I'll give you a scenario. Suppose Russia has already entered into Europe, right?
Okay.
Which means they have awakened. I'll take you back to 2010. We had Russians here in the USA, lots of them, right?
Okay.
You know that number's likely 50 times more in Europe.
Yeah.
So imagine most of their neighborhoods and a big chunk of their population being Russian.
Mm-hmm.
But being Russian by way of their devotion, but living in Europe as a European, which means at any specific time, about 25% of the populace of Europe is not going to be for Europe. So it will likely be an attack from the inside, right? Beginning there.
Hey, baby, good to see you. We'll just asking where you were.
They're already in position to do that. Just, this is something that all militaries are immediately going through right now. They have to sweep their soldiers. They don't know who's who.
That's true. That's true.
Look at us in the USA. How many times have we had somebody loyal to jihadists? That was, the rank of a major, the rank of a colonel. These ranks, especially a colonel, you don't become a colonel without, congressional eyeballs all over you, right? And so even a major is going to be scrutinized with prejudice deeply. So you have these people who are promoted, they're in position, they could have tampered with quite a bit, during their careers. These are people who had careers, right? We're not talking about 4 years in service or like 16, things like that. So they are embedded, and there are some problems in the world. And again, I believe that this happening that we just saw is an eye opener. It is by no means the end, but it's going to be based upon how we handle issues going forward.
Yeah. And to the point of also,
I think America's in a safer position Muslim-wise than the UK. I can't see the UK recovering. Where they deport enough people in America, maybe they'll get a bit of relief.
You said in Europe, it's one thing that there's no doubt there's a
and there won't be enough
Russian
to attack them
already in every country in Europe. But then you got the migrants that came during the Arab Spring under Obama, millions.
Yeah. And they're full of Muslims. Yeah, they're full of Muslims.
And those two could work together because Russia uses the Chechen Muslims all the time fighting them.
Right.
I mean, let me ask you, how many countries are really helping Russia fight against Ukraine? I mean, it's North Koreans already admitted they sent 25,000. There's a
India was helping.
Bunch coming out of other parts of the Middle East and Africa too, right?
India, all of them are.
Yeah.
You have Asian, African, Middle Eastern. So you have all
complain about that. America does the same thing.
All these people under one umbrella supporting Russia to do what they do, and they will not stop despite what the USA says. And that that can keep you up at night when you see the true layout of what's happening. It is we're soon to see, or they're soon to post some of these acts of betrayal publicly, or there are going to be some public hangings, so to speak.
You're talking about here in the United States?
Yep. Even right now, right now, we have moles.
Oh yeah.
In Washington that have been feeding Putin.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
All this is going to come forward, and
so you think Trump's
not a good situation?
Trump's peace plan that he's trying to get done with Ukraine and Russia, is it just? I mean, these guys seem like they're miles apart. Just miles apart. I'm talking Zelensky and Putin. Is there hope here that this can be resolved, or are we still miles apart?
If Zelensky is, he's a character.
Yeah. Right? Yes, he is. Yes,
he's also Russian, so he's quite stubborn in certain ways. In fact, him and Putin are, I hate to say this, they're similar in so many ways.
Yep.
When you have Russia's not going to stop its endeavors. It will not. I'm sorry, they're not going to do it. Zelensky is not one to back down.
Nope.
Right. And this guy was an actor. Who
I know it.
Played
a comedian.
Every single role a person would ask for. They have their crucibles when they act. I looked at this guy's life profile.
Okay.
And he would do anything to achieve something.
So he's an absolute actor, and so he's acting as he's playing this role as president.
Well, because he would do anything while he was acting. I mean anything, right? He's president. He will do anything to achieve something, and that makes him a dangerous person.
Yeah.
Right? He'll do anything to achieve something. So he may care about people, this, that, and the other, yes. But in the end, he'll do anything to achieve what he has set out to achieve.
And that could be
Right.
false flags. That could be,
That could be anything.
massacring a civilian of his own civilian population and
That's
try to pin it on Russia. Yeah.
That's right. That could be anything. And when you're facing people like that in the world, it's, in this world that we live in, it is upside down, Pastor Paul. It really is when you start
Hang
looking
on,
into the
move.
characters of these individuals. and
3
nations.
lines in 5
There is
minutes.
no stability of thought.
Come on.
When you begin to see the
3 lines in
profiles
5
of these
minutes.
people,
I'm going to lock you out in
because
the
they are,
bedroom in a minute.
they truly are ruthless in a lot of ways. And but we're going to see that coming out.
Yeah.
I believe that America is going to be, despite what people may think, we still have a collective people in America who are God-fearing, right? And who desire to see some sort of cohesion in this nation. And it's all this is coming out, but there's a lot of work to be done. There are people, like the Lord showed me, crawling right underneath the soil, ready and willing to act. That'll bring about a massive situation.
Are you talking about
And
people
you can just see
underground civilization?
No.
Okay.
The Lord literally showed me people crawling under the grass and streets. Nobody could see them, but they were right underneath the feet of people everywhere, right?
It was in Vegas. A lot of homeless lived down there. I saw a special on it.
You have a big group of individuals within the USA who are ready to act. All they need is coordination.
The word. They just need the word. They're
That's
ready to go.
That's it. And when they do act, it's going to be a long durational operation to the point of death.
Let me ask you, you read the profiles of the world leaders. I'm sure you got access to them. Let me ask you about Erdogan of Turkey. I know the Pope Leo the 14th, that's his first time he's left the Vatican. The first country that he visited is Turkey. I found that to be interesting.
Bobo, King Charles knighted Sir Jimmy Savile. Jimmy Savile, as you know, is the worst paedophile in UK history, yet Charles knighted him. If the press starts asking questions about that, I think that's the royal family gone. I don't think they can recover from that. He knighted the worst pedophile in history in the UK. And I've seen footage of him. He used to buddy on with him.
Your thoughts about Erdogan? He doesn't like Israel, and he's willing, though, to put Turkish soldiers as part of this international stabilization force. He wants. Do you think Israel's going to be real comfortable with Turks with guns up against their fence?
No, not with their current leadership.
And what do you think about Erdogan? What kind of is he?
I don't trust him because of his faith. I don't trust him because of his faith. I don't trust him. No, because I know he's going to fall back on his faith, right? If the chips don't align, and they won't at some point, he will turn on Israel.
Yeah, he will.
Yeah, I cannot help but to think that all armies are being brought down to the valley of decision, and they will turn on Israel. It may not look like it sometimes, but over the years, every single nation has had their placement in the Middle East. It is something that once you start looking into it, it is one of those incredible things. For all these years, all the policies, all the shiftings of presidents and prime ministers, all these nations have been brought down into the Middle East. It's incredible.
It's interesting you said you don't trust him because of his faith. Yeah. How did you feel with it for 8 years when John Brennan was the CIA director?
Nice.
How did that make you feel?
No. Well, you know what? I'm sure that somebody is going to publish a book about some things with people in it, right? There will come a day of discovery when people find out what folks are really doing, because there are too many times when people turn a blind eye to their own leaders, right? They want the paycheck. So when their leaders are doing something that is immoral or against this nation, because they want the paycheck. They'll just turn their head, act like they didn't see it.
Yeah.
But we've had too many people. For example, I'll give you another example. There's one of the speakers of the House, right?
Yep.
Worships Cleo. What this person acknowledged on television.
Worship
The
what?
goddess
Like
Cleo.
Cleo worships the goddess Cleo.
Right? On I'm not going to mention any names, but this person acknowledged the goddess Cleo, knew all about Cleo, told the interviewer that this goddess is writing down everything, and that this House speaker told this interviewer that she tells everyone.
James, I was waiting for you. I got that video how old the Earth is. I'll send the link.
That
Or do you want me to play it later?
At 50, you're going places. Take the IMB Everyday 50 Plus account with you. With no international transaction fees and fraud detection wherever you go, you can tap to pay along the way. IMB.
This robotic puppy looks so real, it completely fooled my neighbour who's a veterinarian. I've been a grandmother for 15 years, and this is the smartest purchase I've ever made. Last month, I got my granddaughter Emma this smart robotic puppy called Wuffy. I still can't believe what this tiny guy can do. This isn't just some stuffed animal. Wuffy has smart technology inside that recognizes Emma's voice and responds to her. He sits on command, barks when you talk to him,
That's 5
walks
times
around the
I picked you
house,
up.
even tilts his head and wags his tail exactly like a real puppy. The first time Emma saw him, her eyes lit.
Too good to be true, guys.
Cleo documents everything that happens in Washington.
What in the
Well, it shows you what they actually believe in. It was on pub.
James, I got that video that proves the Earth is only 6,000 years old. Will I play it after this, or will I play it tomorrow?
But display. And I was searching the net. I don't see anything about that.
No, it's the first time I've heard this.
And this happened about 2 days ago, 2 or 3 days ago. Yeah, 2 or 3 days ago. First name starts with an N.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Uh-huh.
And now I'm looking to see who the goddess Cleo is. Okay, this is the Greek goddess. Okay, Cleo is a modern Greek goddess. She is one of 9 muses, the daughter of Zeus, and a memory. She is the goddess of memory. Cleo is associated with history, creativity, memory, often depicted with a scroll, a book, and this. So this person is saying, and I understand that you're talking Nancy Pelosi, apparently. So what in the world is she the filter going away now, and they're starting to
They're showing. Listen, there have been times you went to the tundra, and you see about 25 people kneeling towards that direction.
to that goddess.
You go into other places, and you see people kneeling, not towards Christ, not towards the cross, but towards other figures.
Yeah,
right.
Statues of gods. And
I'm telling you, if I were there, I'd throw all the statues out.
Yeah.
Every single last one of them.
What
Because
about
George Washington does not wear a skirt, and he does not have a staff, the staff of Zeus.
No, he don't.
No, he does not. So what's been happening right before people's eyes is something has been propped up, and people not knowing, not really knowing what is what. They have been made comfortable with abominations right here. I think I blew them all up with C4 or something. I think
yeah.
That really, of all the things on earth, that get.
James, I'll play it tomorrow. Will you be here tomorrow?
So George Washington,
really
they have George Washington in there with a skirt, and they don't have him portrayed like the father of our nation. He's not.
Yeah, that's not George. That's
not George
That's
Washington.
not it. That's not it. You know why that's not it? There's an identical statue, identical, in another location on the earth, just like the Statue of Liberty.
Wow.
There's an identical.
No, but I read the what do they call it?
statue of the Statue of Liberty, and it is not the Statue of Liberty.
What
This
about?
is what some of these infiltrators of old did,
Yeah.
right? This is what
Michael,
certain people warned about it who are
Yeah.
loyal to the USA.
Yep.
And what do with these statues? They cause people to worship them.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. What about the United Nations? What do they got? What's painted on the walls there? I mean, what's some stuff in there? And there's some stuff in there.
Yeah, they got some bad stuff in there. Actually, they have or I'll say objects they touch before everything.
But I read a book on the Fred West murders. I think they got something like about 13 girls, didn't they? And one of them was their own daughter. What a sick book. What a sick person what a sick couple they were.
Little session.
Absolutely disgusting. Not in a murdering way. In some of their habits were really disgusting.
Happens. They have these little secret rooms. The Maitreya has been in there a few times.
What?
Yeah, anybody explain that one?
What?
But yeah, it's been absolutely violent in that place. They have a sister to the Blackstone in that place.
Really?
You know, so
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. Don't be surprised if that place just cracks and totally goes under.
Wouldn't break my heart. Wouldn't break my heart if it did.
Well, there are fault lines, you know,
Run
near
to
that
New
place.
York. Yeah.
You got the Harlem River Fault and the Digman Street Fault, the Van Cortlandt Park Fault, and these are active faults. So, yeah, there's some faults there. They even have a 125th Street Fault. So don't be surprised if something happens in New York that swallows it. And then you have this Mondani, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure that he's his belief system is contrary to the foundation of this nation, period.
Oh, definitely. It's not even his belief system's not even pure to the Islamists. I mean, he's not. He's everything. How can he be everything? You can't be everything.
No. You know what it's going to boil down to a person. I've learned something in life. People can take on many titles. They can take on many responsibilities. I have always seen them fall back on their own faith. So whatever the faith of that person is, that's who that person
That's
is.
who they really are. Yeah.
And when a crisis comes, when the pressure comes, that's what they're going to be loyal to.
This is a dangerous time. You know, now New York City, Seattle. You know, we're starting to see major cities in America fall under Islamic control.
Yes,
And that's not good. I mean, and they're saying they're socialist. They're using the term socialist, which is glorified, you know, they're
They didn't say they are the two witnesses, did they, James?
socialist, but they're really Islamists that are moving in, but they're kind of hiding behind the bush as they take position. And as the Americans are, because we don't taught any history in school anymore, our young people don't know anything that's going on. The public is also, we're not getting told. The media has become so worthless. And I said this today. I'm not going to blame it all on the mainstream media anymore. I'm seeing podcasters that are worse than the mainstream media in pushing the narrative, anti-Christ narrative, anti-American narrative, anti-family narrative. It's being pushed everywhere.
Pastor, it's natural that like big media, right? These guys get paid big money.
Yes, they do.
Okay, so when their boss is saying, you know, we're behind this party, you see this and nothing else,
Yep.
and they're going to get that.
They do whatever they're told.
Right.
Yep.
No,
They have a lot of
no,
podcasters.
Yep.
no.
Some of these guys make
A lot of money. Some of these
So
guys are
the
making
more
a
money they
ton.
make, there you go. And so because they're going to continue to get that ton of money.
Yep.
And so they're going to fold to whatever the narrative is that they're given. But the guys that won't fold, you know, we face opposition.
Yep. Yes, we do.
And it's just massive opposition.
I can tell you right now that there's been a shift in the shadow ban. I know I know I'm being affected by it. I know Bishop Larry Ragland and several other guys out there that are preachers and, people are trying to share their faith,
Yeah.
that all of a sudden everything has been like dampened. And then the people can't find their channel. Nobody's being,
Strange.
there's no
Yeah.
alert. Nobody gets notified. I'm going to go live. Thank God we've been doing this every Thursday night, because
Yeah.
that's the reason people show up, because they know it's going to be on. They're not because it's being notified. And that means new people don't even know, unless somebody shares it and tells them about it. They don't know. We're being suppressed big time. This is part of the war, the info war, if you will, right?
Yeah, because by code, based upon your language,
Yeah.
they have programs that can pick out certain words. Of course, AI can understand everything you're saying.
Yes.
So if you happen to say specific things, right, then they'll just put a suppressant upon your
Yeah.
activities. That's all.
Yep.
I get those a lot.
Yeah.
I get
I'm
those.
sure you get them every day.
Yeah, I get them a lot.
And
It's a fight.
it isn't just only on a social media platform. They can also
That's
do
right.
that to your website too.
Yeah,
right?
they can reach out. They can reach out and harass you because you're utilizing an internet that belongs to them.
Yeah.
Essentially. So you have to go through them to get to everybody else, which actually is a slap in their face, because you're telling an anti-message on their platform, right? So
Yeah.
but hey, that's the way it is.
Here's the thing. We know that in the end that we got to keep doing what we're doing, because we're running out of time. Because there are millions and
We
millions
really
of
are.
people who aren't saved, that don't know anything about Jesus, that have got to hear the truth.
A minute ago, Paul was talking about how they're hiding his notices and that.
And we're in a battle, and I'm in it.
With me, when I hang up the live stream here on the laptops, just for argument's sake, it'll say 100 views. Then when I go to the tablet and turn off the laptop, there's only like 60 views. So whatever views I get, they hide a quarter of them straight away. So I don't know if he's getting hassled like that, but I am. That's suppression.
All the way. I'm not, look, it don't matter. I'm in this thing. I'm going to fight it to the very end. And I do it because I love the Lord and I love people. And I don't want anybody to be lost. I don't want anybody to be lost. I don't care where they're coming from or what their ideology is or their religious background is. None of that matters. Their race, none of that matters to me. They all need the love of Christ in their heart. If they get this, they get the joy of the Lord. Man, your life changes. It just changes.
It does.
Well, Mike, also, let's talk about Venezuela for a minute. What's getting ready to happen here? I mean, there's 50. I understand it, and maybe it didn't happen, but I got information that there for about 3 hours that the airspace over the Gulf of America was quieted down because B-2 bombers. What was going on, Mike?
It was a couple times. Well, they had training exercises, which are, you could say, intimidation in some cases. They even had B-trons, right? So they're training. And that means you're about to conduct some things. And so Trump is serious.
Yeah.
He's very serious about what he's about to do. But if you think about it, we're in that time. We're in that time. It's not going to go away. It will not go away. I'll tell you what. I do know this for a fact. If we did not have a leader that would have stood up against some of these things, the USA probably would have folded in less than a year. Yeah.
In what?
Less than a year. In a year.
In a
It
year?
was that bad. It was that bad. Oh yeah, it was that bad. I'll tell you what, when people talk, start listening to the real numbers, the origin numbers, right? From real people. And you'll find out that we were just going down the drain pretty quick. We were. There was so much, forget about it. If we could have kept the corruption, we still would have went down, right?
Yeah.
We had other nations that were, they were ready to attack the USA, right? We had vulnerabilities. And that era is still not over. We have nations we cannot trust. in truth, the USA stands alone with Israel,
Yes.
right? Because even now, the rhetoric of these other nations, they're not quite in line with the USA. So, in that respect, we're on a countdown anyway.
Mike, also, they just announced that the 40,000th asteroid has been identified, near Earth asteroid. 40,000 now, but 10,000 of them have been spotted in the last 3 years. And so they're saying that there's a massive increase in near Earth objects that we're now encountering. Is this what you said in the past when there's a debris field coming? Can you help us understand this a little better?
That will continue to grow, right? Just like that, there's an object 93.2 miles in diameter. Yeah, it's a big one. It's a big round ball.
Wait, 92 miles in diameter?
93 miles, 150 kilometers. And it's been spotted. It has, they know its orbit, but its orbit has changed, right? It's coming in closer to us now. And so we're having things like that happen. This thing's huge.
Now, wait, it's not in our solar system right now, is it?
I got real life insurance to protect us financially. You can choose up to $2 million cover. Click to request it right now.
It's not just the views that are spectacular. With Rudy Ruden's Black Friday sale, get up to 50.
Or is
No, but it's coming.
It's coming.
It's coming. It's right underneath us, and it's coming. Yeah.
That's
I believe it's,
gigantic.
Yeah, I believe it's what is that? C 2014 went to 7.1. I believe it is.
What?
So it's commonly known, but its orbit is altering, changing. That's the one thing, right? You know, they have all these trajectories.
Yeah.
They forget that these trajectories change, right? We're having some real anomalies out there. So, yeah, we're coming into a very dangerous and active spot in the heavens, period. We're going to see some massive changes, right? I wouldn't be surprised if people begin to see for the first time a real double object with the sun. I wouldn't be surprised. They're not going to be able to tell what that is near the sun. They won't, but they'll see it with their own eyes and with cameras and whatever else. We just live in those decades.
So now, we've been hearing about the binary system. You know, we've talked about it in the past, and I, you know, is this thing coming from behind the sun? Is why we don't see it now, or is it just too far away?
Well, a binary system would have other objects in it, just like our solar system, right?
Yep.
So those objects, some of those objects would interact with the objects in our solar system.
Yeah, it's got to.
And it would be, it's just not going to be what, well, we read those things in the Bible. We know the end results, and we're not too far away from that, right? It's just like some of this geoactivity in the last few days. We've had a lot of geoactivity. Africa is igniting the center. The atmosphere has been electrified. Underneath it, you know, magnets pouring out the ground. There has been a notable change in quite a few areas.
I never knew that about Africa.
In Africa, but in the world. And that's coming from what's happening with the sun. As the chemistry of the sun continues to change because it's being affected by something external, we will continue to change. And we're just in that time.
I mean, there's no question we got way more asteroids and interstellar objects and things coming at us. The sun is absolutely going bonkers out there because it's being, inundated with pressure, and then we have, as you say, you know, when let's say this binary system, when you call it Planet X, whatever you want to call it, but it's got a lot of other moons and planets orbiting it because it's its own solar system, and as it's going by, some of those moons or some of those things are going to come in view, but they're going to interact with Mars, Venus, Jupiter, whatever. So all of this is all part of God's plan. It's all timed. God's timing this, right? I mean, this is all part of what Jesus said was going to happen.
James, the Catholics are worth $52 billion. Could you imagine that? Children are starving and they're worth $52 billion. They could end starvation with $1 billion in a week. It's that simple.
That's right. It's all under his control. And nothing is out of control, actually, right? It's all his declaration.
Yep.
All of it, his declaration. And it's not against believers. It is for believers.
Yes.
And I believe we're in a time right now. I believe we're in a time right now where just like this shooting, right? The shooting looks bad, but every Christian should understand when a person leaves, in the Bible it says to be absent from the flesh is to be present with the Lord.
That's right.
Absent from the body to be present. So when a person is gone here, it's not as tragic as you would think, right? Because if they're gone to be with the Lord, there's no way. Listen, if I went to go be with the Lord, right, then I made it. I made it. That's my. I worked my whole life for that.
That's where you want to go.
That's what I exist for.
Yeah.
So nobody should cry for me. I'm not going to cry for them.
Right.
You know, don't. If a person goes to the best possible place they could ever go to, if all their dreams come true in one moment, why such sorrow?
Yeah, that's why we were told to rejoice with the death of God's saints. I understand. Right. We have a human nature. This is tragic. A 20-year-old girl being gunned down.
It will increase. My point is, it will increase. I'll say this: it will increase. It's going to increase. And in order for people not to get too overwhelmed, because here's what I can see happening: when something like this takes place, people get angry. When they get angry, retaliation begins, and then it will happen. It'll be multiplied. Then everything starts to go really out of control. You have a bunch of upset people not really understanding what just took place.
James, isn't it Pope Pontifex Maximus? I think that's one of his titles. That was the actual religious leader of the pagan gods in Rome. He was the highest priest. So he's taken the highest priest's name.
God's not out of control. If God wanted to, the devil would be gone in an instant, right? But he's allowing the devil to continue. He is.
Okay,
now,
absolutely.
We're being, and sometimes a lot of people forget that demons aren't existing on their own. God knows exactly what he's doing. And what he's doing is for us. He's doing that for us. He's bringing all this to a close for us. But the average person out there, they don't know that story. They don't know that narrative, right? So for the people who have said no to Christ, people can see what they're going to be handed over to. God will get them over to their own craftiness, their own inventions, their own little systems, and they're going to have to, endure what they have inflicted by way of their craftiness on everybody else. It is a true separation. It's kind of like Mingdami, right? This guy Mingdami.
Yep.
If people stay in that city and they like this guy, well, that means they share the same heart he has.
Yeah.
Andrew, I'm from Australia, and as a kid, you get sunburn. Now, as an adult, I get sunburn like 40 years later, 50 years later, and it's a really nasty sting. It's not. It's just more nasty. It's just a real worse sting.
But a righteous person, a person who loves the Lord, who's not going to tolerate.
They're not going to like this guy.
They might get out of that city.
They might.
And in doing so, wouldn't the Lord be saving that person? Because he does call us out of this world, right? He calls us out of this world. And I've noticed something when he does that, when God's people leave an area, it's not soon after that area is destroyed.
Well, it happens
God's
a lot.
people are called out of first.
Yeah. Now we know there's some people that are going to be living in New York that are elderly and they ain't gonna like to be underneath this leadership. But what are they going to do? But a lot of people are already looking for the exit. They are looking for a way to sell their home and to move on and get out of there. And some of them have jobs, and they're probably thinking, okay, I got to find something else to do. I got to work somewhere else. I got to get transferred. I got to find a job in a different city. I'm not going to can't survive underneath this because the free stuff is impossible. You can't just do everything. Surely this guy realizes at some point everything he promised is not going to happen. There's no way it can happen.
I think he knows, right?
Yeah.
I also
Surely
think
he knows.
He's very well spoken. There's no way in the world he's acting on his own in that part.
It's scary. That's a scary
It's
part.
very concerning.
Yeah. All right, now let me ask you this. There's Elon Musk. When the guy from Saudi Arabia, when Osama bin, when Mohammed bin Salman was here meeting with President Trump. Meanwhile, Elon Musk was meeting with the CEO of NVIDIA and the Saudi Arabian Minister of Communications and Information and Technology.
Right.
And they were talking about they're going to build some of these data centers, underground data centers in Saudi Arabia as well as all over. But Musk said, "Look, guys, the future is we got to do this in space. We can't come up with enough water. We can't cool this thing. We can't generate enough power. We can build them and we can let them orbit the Earth, and it's deep freeze cold up there, and we can use solar panels to fuel it." Is this realistic what he's saying?
Yeah, well, it's already being done to a degree. I mean, it's minus 455 degrees up there.
Yeah.
Right?
You don't
And
need
so-
cold water to keep them cool, right?
It's going to cool anything off. So, there's a space station.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Some of the satellites up there are robust. The only thing is, I mean, of course, Elon would do that. He has, his space program.
Right. He's got a lot of
That keeps him in
motivation.
business for
That keeps him going, right?
But it is, think of the options, though. If we put power plants, right?
Yeah.
We'd have to put a power plant in space. Now, those solar cells, that's a lot of power to generate.
Yeah, they may not be.
Still a lot of power
They may
to
not be able to generate enough power with solar panels.
Well, actually, in space, right?
They're a lot
They
closer.
they have the solar panels that they're using right now. They have an upgraded version that will just blow your mind. The problem is, even if we have efficient solar panels or turbines, say one of these AI plants could get all of their energy from renewable energy, right? From a specialized windmill or something like that. It sounds like that'd be great. Wrong, because all of it's going to produce heat, right? So it's going to be like having a fire the size of a large Ford factory burning on a continuous basis in any certain place. They'll be able to produce the energy, but the emissions from that plant are going to change the atmosphere right above it, right? That's what's wrong with cities today. Are the emissions from the cities that heat up the city.
Oh, so you're saying even if they're building underground data centers with their own small nuclear plant underground, the emissions from that energy has still got to come out of the ventilation. It's got to come out there somewhere, right?
So it's going to produce, you're going to have heat dissipation going all over the place, right?
Yeah.
And we're not talking about heat dissipation can affect our atmosphere is already hot. That will increase rainfall another 50%.
I see.
We don't need that. We're barely going to make it through the next 2.5 years with the rainfall that we have. Right? We have a frontal system being formed right now that's guaranteed to put the USA under snow and ice and rain.
Big time.
We're gonna have a flood event we never saw before in about the next 3 or 4 weeks. It's gonna just smash all records.
They're saying this weekend there's going to be about 12 inches of snow. It's going to fall in about 12 states. I mean, this is not even December.
Yeah, it's going to happen again because we have another system forming right now as we speak. It's going to
come right in behind.
It's going to just shame that one, right? It'll shame that one. It's going to be a rough.
What's causing all this shift in weather?
It's the heated atmosphere, right? The upper atmosphere. So here's the whole process. In the upper atmosphere, we have something called galactic cosmic rays. Those galactic cosmic rays carry particulates. They get caught in the ionosphere. That gets ionized, which increases the electric field potential of the Earth total. So we have a global increase in temperature and electronic potential or electric potential that will cause the atmosphere to heat up because it's a lot more dense, right? It's already hot up there and cold up there in certain areas, but the ionosphere is specifically hot. It does not translate the heat well because there's not enough matter in the ionosphere, right, to actually make a difference. But what they're having to do now, because of particulate settlement, is move satellites to a different type orbit because it's starting to heat up in the ionosphere.
Wow.
Which, by the way, gets up to 5,000 degrees. It gets very hot. But the reason, again, when it's not dense enough, right, molecules cannot, transmit that heat. So if it's without density, you can have it hot and heat. You could go up there, I could go up there. But as soon as you introduce particulates, that heat's going to be transferred from particulate to particulate, right? It's also ionizing at a rapid rate right now as we speak. This has increased atmospheric conductivity. That means the ground absorbs the heat from the atmosphere, right? The radiation from the atmosphere. Normally it goes through the poles, but now it's coming straight down to the ground. 4 days ago, in the middle of the night, your audience should have burned up about 4 nights ago. It was cold outside, and everybody should have woke up sweating, saying, "Why is it so hot? I'm burning up as hot," right? That was an absolute effect from
James, it goes for an hour. That's how long it goes for.
sun affecting the earth, and people felt something akin to microwaves. Yeah. So
I'm going to say
in that time frame, did they wake up in the middle of the night feeling they're burning up hot?
Well, I did, and I had the air conditioning on.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
But I woke up sweating.
There you go.
Hot.
Most of your audience probably did.
And so I got out of bed and I walked over and looked at the thermostat and it still said 72 degrees. I'm thinking
this lasted 2 days. Lasted 2 days, right?
Yeah.
Now, those were minor effects. So here's what I'm telling you, because nobody else is saying the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that same effect increased at least 12 times.
So it's not the temperature in the room, it's the rays that's coming through, coming right through
inside out.
Yeah, and it was affecting, sort of like the core of the earth is being affected by this too, right?
There you go. So the next time this happens, right, because of what has changed, is going to be, the effects will be 12 times greater. Anyway, getting back to our thing, this increases caloric currents in the earth, right? So as current increases in the earth, it causes a real effect with magma, with crystals, with rock, with everything else. That type of agitation or increase in current is going to translate into magma becoming hotter, right?
Andrew, I'm pretty sure you haven't seen this video either. The one I'm talking to with James.
The core of the earth, that material is under much more pressure because you're building up mass, right? The introduction of that electrical potential being turned to motion or pressure, as physical effect.
Is that going to affect the volcanoes then? And
that's right. There you go. And that's why we had those eruptions.
Yeah.
I believe that's why we had those eruptions. And this will continue to happen. We even have the reverse effect taking place when it's too much energy inside the earth. We have the opposite effect taking place, which still affects the earth. Either way, what we're having on the earth is escalating by a factor that's they need to look at very closely. But I don't know how they're going to warn people. I don't know that.
Well, the Bible does say that
this year coming up,
that we're going to have the grass burning and stuff. So you're saying this year coming up?
This year coming up is going to be horrific. I'm just saying we're in trouble this year. 2026, we're in trouble this year. We're going to have greater effects, more
of cosmic rays, more cosmic rays, and more reactions
from the heavens. Yep.
From the heavens, and it's going to affect the core of the earth, which is going to affect the core of humanity.
Is he talking about AI Atlas?
Earthquakes, volcanism, your brain, right?
Yeah, Tonga we just had a 5.6 earthquake hit Tonga while we've been on the air.
California California's under major stress right now.
Yeah.
Major stress. The South Carolina is under major stress right now. These are readings coming from deep within the earth. So there'll likely be effects there. There's several other places. It's just, these things are increasing. And even right now, this is an example of what the sun can do and how many systems on the earth it can affect.
Yeah, it affects everything. It affects wind, it affects current, ocean currents, jet streams, the core of the earth, does it affect the spinning of the core of the earth, or is that a total different mechanism? Yeah.
Well, the spin of the earth, right, that's based on inertia. It's based on the theoretical rotation of the inside of the earth and fluid dynamics with the magma. So yes, it does. And due to the weakening of the magnetic shielding, right, it will
Andrew, we don't watch this guy Paul for any spiritual education because it's all about the money. But the guy's got on now, Mike, from around the world. He says things that are going to happen. Like he'll say, keep an eye for a water event in Europe. And that week, there'll be a massive flood in Italy, for example. And he's pretty much always right. So that's why we play Paul. Otherwise, we stay away from him.
amplify the negative effects. This event we had with the sun was under a strong period of the magnetic field. The magnetic field is not always like that. In fact,
Paul should bring up AI Atlas.
In today, it's decreasing in its potential, right? So it's not going to redirect radiation that well. We're going into a chaotic region of the magnetic field lines of force. They will start to change. And that means when people see auroras in Florida, I know they're beautiful, but that's dangerous. They're going to start to see these every evening.
It's crazy.
And that will be the beginning of the end of a stable era for all of us.
We're going to see major changes in climate activity. Storms, do you think, will it affect tornadoes and hurricanes?
Oh my Lord, a tornado will be like a hurricane, and a hurricane will be something else. In fact, this year, they have 6 new names for weather phenomena. They'll be coming out within 2026.
New names for storms, a different kind of storms, I remember
people
when
are going to learn. They're going to be
new
6 new types of weather-related phenomena. They're going to have to use it, right? Because, say for example, hail.
But they want to tax us to fix the climate. This is not fixable. This is natural weather. It's not fixable.
We have hail like a soccer ball, right?
No,
because we'll have hail. They have gorilla hail, right? That crushed one of the new Ford trucks in about 20 seconds. I mean, it crushed it, right?
Gorilla hail.
They had hail the size. One piece of hail was the size of, I think they said 2 softballs. 2 softballs.
That's big hail.
It was absolutely devastating. So they have classifications for these events, right? That's why the Weather Channel and the entire weather system across the USA underwent a change. You notice that your local weather personnel could have changed. Many of them were fired. AI is involved now. They need more accurate readings, and they're only allowed to discuss what comes from the tongue.
So in other words, the meteorologist, the weatherman doesn't get to make his predictions no more. He's being told.
No. Yeah. That's right. Because they fired a lot of people in one day. This happened in 2025. A lot of people had no job. They woke up with no job, tears, crying, everything else. But a lot of people were let go, and it was centralized, essentially. So here we go.
So centralized reporting on the weather because of the changes that's happening to the weather.
That's right.
Monsoon rains are going to get stronger. Hurricanes, hypercanes. We got these hypercanes. We got the polar vortexes coming in. Now they're going to change that term.
Yeah, Bobo, the moon does do do the tides and things like that.
There's something else. Atmospheric river. I know that's a new one for the last 3 or 4 years. So you're saying there's 6 new names, but the weather, the local weather guy, he or lady, they're no longer going to be allowed.
But Bobo, what they're talking about with the heat, the seas heating up, the volcanoes are making us heat, making the sea hotter, and all the moisture's going in the air, and there's nowhere for it to go, and it falls back to earth, and it just floods wherever it falls. So many cities have been hit with flash floods in the last month. It's ridiculous.
To make their own decision and call the shots.
That's right. That's right. They have to read from the National Weather Service. If they don't, they're not going to work as a meteorologist.
And is AI going to be giving us the weather report, basically?
Oh yeah, it's doing it now. It's making, it's performing quite a few tasks. And they have to do this, because can you imagine what people are going to think when the jet stream reverses?
Well, yeah, I don't know what to do. I mean, here in America, the weather comes from the west, right? If you're telling me all of a sudden it's going to all be always, and sometimes you get an east storm, but I mean, if it just completely shifts and comes from the east, it's going to mess everything up. It's going to change the entire farming community. I mean, it's going to mess everything.
And just so everybody knows this, right? That's what the Great Dust Bowl was about in the USA.
So this has happened before.
Yes, and it's about to happen again. So that means all the crops.
Yeah, it's going to mess up all the farming. Yep.
They're going to be gone. It'll be just like it was during the Dust Bowl. Actually, it'll be worse because we have dug up a little too much soil. But the government took steps. They started taking steps 10 years ago.
Different kind of food processing, whether or not where we get the food from. I don't know where we get it. I don't even know if it's real. I don't know if it's real. One last thing might be terrible thing happened in Hong Kong. 8 of these 32-story apartment complexes burned up. 8 of in Hong Kong.
Boy, they're having issues. The bridge fell.
The bridge fell.
And now you have that happening. All of this on that peninsula in that area of the earth. Well, that's unfortunate.
It's terrible. Yeah.
It looks like it's not going to stop fast falling. You have landmass movements and deformations in too many places throughout the earth. And it's just, we're in the season now. It's costly. It's going to be very costly.
Insurance is not going to be able to keep up with it.
No, they're not. They're not. In fact, they've already made their changes. If you're nosy enough to read the fine print with insurance, people will find they're not covered for what they were covered for last year, right? Yeah. So everybody is redoing the books. They're redoing the books. There's so many things altering and changing.
What about healthcare? And
yeah, it's going to change. It's going to be. There's a forced change coming with healthcare.
Right, has to.
There's a forced change. Well, the reason why they're going to have to dismantle some of these warehouses, these data warehouses and cash warehouses that cover expenses for these medical facilities, because right now it's ran more like a facade. How can a hospital, right? A hospital, you go into a hospital, the actual visit, you could pay for out of pocket, but you cannot pay for the tests. Some of the tests in the hospital cost, more than a person's yearly salary.
Right, impossible.
And that's the foolish part. That's the foolish part of the USA right now. Boy, that gets me going too, right? Because you go get a CAT scan, something you need. Yeah. I don't know how much that actually costs, but they will charge $15,000 for each one. You know how much that doctor gets? Oh my goodness. And for every prescription that they prescribe, they get a kickback from the pharmaceutical companies. And then you have all these doctors did my own survey. Many of them have filed for bankruptcy.
What?
Many of them.
Many of them have filed.
The doctors have filed for bankruptcy, yet they make millions of dollars. That's right. Not all, because you have the doctors, but something's
really wrong here.
It's really gone wrong, right? And the hospitals who have been
James, Bobo's not a Christian yet. He's the only non-Christian ever get a wrench from me, but we're hoping to win him over.
showing no progress as far as medical advancements and community turnarounds and approval of the community towards that hospital. How can all of a sudden they be transformed into a university hospital?
I don't know.
A hospital with low
Actually, I should have given you a wrench a long time ago, Andrew. Sorry, mate.
standards, but simply because it looks good, but
Yeah.
treats their patients like,
Yeah.
less than animals. They have malpractice suits piled up by every lawyer around them, and yet they get turned into a university hospital. That's an accreditation they should not have.
Doesn't make sense.
It's a money funnel. Is
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's a money funnel. And if President Trump looks into this and puts a halt to the money funnel, then people can afford their own insurance.
Yeah.
I'm sure they could afford to pay $10 to go see a doctor.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure that everybody could afford to pay $25 a month for their medical insurance.
Well, of course.
$25 a month. If people did that who are right now on medical insurance, the doctors would still be rich. The hospitals would never run out of money, right? But they would have to run honest.
Yeah. Yeah. We get to have. This is a.
We have a great health system here, similar like England. England's got a good health system, I heard as well. But most of our stuff's for free.
Worse than drug cartel. I mean,
It is.
pharmaceuticals are the biggest. The pharmaceutical. We're getting robbed coming and going here.
Yeah.
Really, we really has been.
Greed is,
Oh.
greed. And it's not from every individual inside these
No.
corporations, but you have people who have set themselves up, is what has happened. For example, I'll go ahead and say it. If somebody would track the money from a specific test in America, in every hospital, it goes to one family and one family only.
Certain test.
Now imagine that. A certain test that's performed in every single hospital. As soon as that billing code hits the system, the money goes to one specific family. That family does not do anything but collect money.
Well, they have to be billionaires, multi-billionaires.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
that's what's happening. That's what's happening.
Vast, I'm not going near Charlie. A lot of people get in a lot of trouble talking about Charlie, and some people take it the wrong way. So I won't even cover him because they ban you on YouTube if they do that.
It's a crooked world.
Just gave me a hint. I gave me a hint, so they better just
People's digging right
knock
now.
that house down.
Yeah. Heidi will probably have the answer by tomorrow. Okay. Mike, I appreciate it tonight. A lot of good stuff tonight to really chew on, to think about the reality of the world we're in, and just another reason that your faith has to be in Christ. It has to be in Christ. You can't put it in this world, because in this world, if your faith was in this world only, you'd be very miserable, is what Paul said. But we have to have faith beyond this world by trusting in Christ. So thank you so much for tonight, Thanksgiving, and taking time out, Mike. I really appreciate.
Okay, guys, I'm going to do the age of the Earth. A few of you guys haven't seen this. It proves the Earth is only 6,000 years old. There it is. Yeah.
I'm Dr. Grady. Hello. I'm Dr. Grady McMurtry with Creation and Worldview Ministries located in Orlando, Florida. I used to be an evolutionist, but now I'm a creationist, and I was a trained evolutionist from birth, really. But I became a Christian at the age of 27. I became a creationist at the age of 28. It's been a very interesting journey, but for the last 34 years, I've been traveling the world on 5 continents, working in 20 languages as a teaching missionary, talking about the truths of creation versus evolution. And so what I want to share with you concerns the age of the earth, the age of the universe. The various theories of evolution declare that the Earth and the universe are billions of years old. Evolutionists say that we are just the result of a cosmic accident, that we are just thinking animals without specific design or purpose. In school, most of us were taught that life began by random chance chemical reactions. Yet when we see the beauty of the Earth, we see the complexity of the living organisms that occupy it. Can we really believe that this is all just an accident? Throughout the world, we are presented with the evidence that calls into question evolutionary beliefs and the assumption of an old age for the Earth and the universe. Over the course of this program, we will present to you evidence that will shake the foundations of the evolutionary worldview. Evolutionists say that the Earth is, in fact, millions and billions of years old. First of all, you have to understand that they have no proof for this whatsoever. They simply claim it. And you can realize that evolutionists live and die by 8 words. Those 8 words are so important that you should memorize them. So I want you to try memorizing these words. Please repeat after me. Give me enough time. Give me enough time. And anything can happen. And anything can happen. Those are the 8 words by which evolutionists live and die. We might call it the evolutionary mantra. You see, in spite of anything and everything you can show an evolutionist that evolution is not true, they will simply respond by saying, give me enough time and anything can happen. So the question must be, has there ever been enough time? Now, I was once asked to write an article for a publication. When you're asked to write articles for publications, sometimes they give you the title of the article and say, we want you to write it. Sometimes they said, pick your own title and write the article. And I was given the title. The title was to be,
come
how
on,
you
you
date
pets are
your
driving
clock.
me freaking
My
nuts.
first response was, first you have to ask her.
Can't get in
Well,
the
somebody got it
way.
anyway. So, I mean, let's think about this. Is there anything about a rock that will tell you how old it is? Is there anything about the size, feel, shape, smell, taste, weight, mass, specific gravity, density, chemical composition? Is there anything about a rock that will tell you how old it is? And of course, the answer is no. There's absolutely nothing about a rock that will tell you how old it is. As a matter of fact, I can go outside right now, pick up any rock I choose to. I can claim any age I want to for it. You may disagree with me, but you cannot prove me scientifically incorrect. You understand? I can go outside right now, pick any rock I want to, claim any age I want to for it. You may disagree with me, but you cannot scientifically prove that I'm wrong. I mean, think with me. When you go outside and pick up rocks, do they come with little white strings attached, little white tags saying, I'm 10 million years old and signed by a scientist who was there at the time? Excuse me? No. So it's not.
Okay, I got to admit, his humor's pretty lame.
Think about this. Is there any way in which you can date a rock? The answer is no. There's no way that you can date a rock. And so what we want to talk about is, are the Earth and the universe really billions of years old, or are they, in fact, young? Now, people will say, well, you know, the Earth is old. It all came from a Big Bang. Supposedly, this Big Bang occurred some perhaps 20 billion supposed years ago. But is the Earth and the universe really 20 billion years old, or can you really trust the Bible to tell you the truth that it was created just 6,000 years ago? Now, you say a young Earth, young universe, and people say, but wait, doesn't it have to be old? Because, and they will say things like, doesn't it take millions of years for rocks to form or for diamonds to form? What about stalactites and stalactites to form? What about polar ice caps to form? What about thousands of feet of rock layers to form? I mean, doesn't that take millions and billions of years? Or what about deep canyons to be cut into rock layers? What about dinosaur fossils to form? Doesn't that take millions of years? Or perhaps, let's say, coal. Doesn't it take millions of years for coal to form? Or wood to fossilize? And the big one always is, doesn't it take millions and billions of years for light to reach us from distant stars? I mean, that's the big one that everybody asks. I don't say it all has to be young. I say it all has to be young because. Now, I always like to start with something for the ladies. Now, ladies, this is a piece of opal mineral rock. This is dug by hand from Australia. And that's a nice stone, right? Oh, come on, ladies, that's a nice rock, right? Now, that's a
Australia's known for its brilliant opals.
piece of natural opal from Australia. This is a piece of man-made opal from Australia. Under an electron scanning microscope, you can't tell the difference. But this artificial man-made opal was grown in that jar right there. Have I got your attention?
Yep.
You see, this is a natural piece of opal stone mined in Australia by hand. We want to take a look at, does it take millions of years for gemstones like opals and diamonds to form? And what about gold to form? Well, this is a natural piece of opal. This is a man-made piece of opal. It was grown in this jar right here. You can actually see it growing right there, that lens. And it only took 3 months. Have I got your attention? You put the right chemicals in a jar, stick it up on a shelf, and it can grow an opal in 3 months. I want to assure everybody here, if you have opal jewelry, it's real. This gentleman is a Christian, a creation-believing scientist. He only does this as a laboratory experiment, but he's found out how to do it. But he doesn't sell them. He doesn't put them on the market. He doesn't flood the market with these things. But it only takes 3 months to get an opal. Or how about that rock right there? Come on, ladies, that's a nice rock. Oh, come on, that's the Hope Diamond in the Smithsonian. That's a nice rock, right? But it was just that it takes millions of years to form diamonds. And first of all, though, you really know that's not true, because if you think about it, you know that we've been able to make industrial grade diamonds for many, many years. It takes a few months. We simply subject carbon to heat, pressure, and so forth. But these are crude diamonds in the sense that they're not gem quality diamonds. They are diamonds, but they're only used for abrasives and grinding and so forth. But are you aware that in 2003, we found out how to make pure, super hard diamonds in only a matter of minutes? Now, it takes high pressure and high temperatures, but it only takes a matter of minutes to get gem quality pure diamonds. Are you impressed? Well, think with me for a moment. You know how scientists are. If we learn how to do something, well, then the next question for scientists, how do you do it faster or cheaper or both, right? So the very next year, we found out how to do it at much lower temperatures, much lower pressures, and it only takes 12 hours.
Andrew, that was incredible, wasn't it? Wow, yeah. You guys must hate us, because we always put someone up that's brilliant every generation. You guys must hate us, fair dinkum. I love beating the Poms at cricket as much as you love beating us.
Is this interesting? Oh. Well, but you know how it is with scientists. If you learn how to do something, the next question is, how do you do it cheaper or faster or both, right? Well, in 2006, we found out how to make flawless, pure diamonds, up to 10 carats. It only takes 1 day. Today in the United States, you can go into a jewelry store, you can buy a diamond, you can either pay for a natural diamond or you can get a man-made diamond. They're of equal quality. And the man-made diamond is cheaper. And you now have a choice. And let's think about this. We now know that kimberlites, which are what you find diamonds in, actually come up from deep inside the earth at about 9 miles an hour. It only takes about 12 to 30 hours for this material to come to the surface of the earth. We found that out in 2000. And this is another report, 1999, showing that, again, it only takes about 2 to 8 hours for these materials to come to the surface of the earth. So I guess it really doesn't take millions of years to get a diamond. Is that correct?
Looks like it.
Have I got your attention?
Yep.
Well, what about gold? I mean, doesn't it take a long time for gold to form in nature? Well, actually, no. The massive Lihir gold deposits in Papua New Guinea could have formed in, quote, as short as 5 hours, unquote, claims geologist Greg Hall. That's January of 2000.
Wow, in 5 hours. Oh, wow.
2007. Here, in a report that actually goes back to 1985, water sample.
Diane, Russia has so many diamonds from its socialist days that if they release the diamonds on the market, it'd make the diamonds worth nothing. So, yeah, they created their own little genre there. But Russia's got more diamonds than they know what to do with.
From over half a mile down by these geochemists contain
Okay, Moo, I haven't picked up for a
thousands
ball.
times the
Come on,
highest
pick it
concentration
up.
of gold ever recorded in the
Jump.
surface waters of
Come on.
hydrothermal systems, unquote. But this was found at a geothermal power plant in New Zealand back in 1985. Today, we now think that there's approximately 53 pounds of gold being deposited in this gold mine while it's being mined. Well, 53 pounds of gold is no shabby, right? And what about stalactites, stalagmites? I mean, doesn't that take millions and millions of years to form? I mean, think with me for a moment. When you go to places, the caves and limestone caves that have stalactites, stalagmites, don't they say to you, oh, it takes 10, 20 million years to get a cave like this? Is that right?
Yep.
And the other thing they say is, don't touch that. Right? Come on, they say, don't touch that. It'll take 1,000 years to grow back, right?
They do
Well, I'd like to
say
see
that.
it really does take 10, 20 million years to get a limestone cave like this. I'd like to see if you touch it, does it really take 1,000 years to grow back? Now, we're looking at do stalactites and stalagmites form slowly or fast? Now, this is a photograph of some Mayan pottery made in the Americas. We know it was made about 700 AD. But in this photograph, you'll notice right here, this is a stalagmite coming up from on top of the pottery. Is that correct? So let's think. Here's this stalagmite on top of the pottery, so that means it formed in less than 1,300 years. Is that right? So if it only takes 1,300 years for the stalagmite to form, I really don't think it takes 10, 20 million years, do you? Not really. There you go.
Yeah.
Or how about this? Now, this comes from Australia.
Andrew, they've also got Aussie opal hunters. They're genuine Aussies, I can tell you.
This is a man-made tunnel. We might call it a man-made cave. It was dug 160 feet deep into a basaltic or volcanic hill in Australia in 1857. But here you see this beautiful flowstone. Here you see these stalactites coming from the ceiling. Now, let's think. This photograph was taken in 1997, so it only took 140 years for these formations to form. So I don't really think it takes 10, 20 million years to get a limestone cave. How about you?
Doesn't look like
Come on,
it.
can y'all say not a chance?
Not a chance.
A little louder. Not a chance. Very good. And evolutionists will tell you, well, the polar ice caps contain perhaps a quarter million years of accumulated ice and snow and so forth. As a matter of fact, they will tell you that you can see the little lines in the polar ice caps. They'll say, you can see 200, 220,000 lines there and so forth. Well, first of all, that's not true. It's actually a lie. I want you to think with me for just a moment. How many of you have opened up a refrigerator freezer door and you've seen two ice cubes flowing together in the middle of the freezer? Is that right? Oh. Now, it's true that you can see these little lines near the surface at the top and even down into the middle, but once you get down the middle, the pressure of the ice is so great that those lines simply become invisible, and after that, it's just, subjective judgment and so forth. And they'll tell you that these little lines in the polar ice caps, those are just like annual rings in a tree. You cut down a tree, you count the rings, they'll say, oh, well, you can see 200, 220,000 lines. They're just like tree rings and so forth. So this tells us that the polar ice caps are 220,000, years old. But I don't think so. I mean, when I was an evolutionist, I used to accept that kind of thing, but I don't believe it anymore. Let me show you why. Now, this is a Boeing B-17 medium-range bomber from World War II. This is a Lockheed P-38 fighter from World War II. In 1942, two bombers escorted by 6 fighter planes left the United States to go to England as a part of the war effort in World War II. Now, these planes cannot fly directly across the Atlantic. They don't have nearly enough fuel. And so what they must do is they have to fly first to Bangor, Maine. From Bangor, Maine, they fly to Newfoundland. From Newfoundland, they fly to Greenland. From Greenland on to Iceland and on down to England.
Geez, their petrol tanks must have been pretty small.
What? Now, these 8 planes took off from the U.S. in 1942. They got to Greenland, and they fueled up on the west coast of Greenland. They started across the polar ice cap of Greenland, ran right smack into a snowstorm. This was a complete whiteout. They couldn't go forward. They tried to turn around, find the base they came from, couldn't find the base they came from. They decided they were going to have to crash land on top of the polar ice cap.
Yeah.
And the first plane went in with its wheels down, flipped over.
James, that's why I'm playing this, because the Bible says we're 6,000 years old. Everyone else says billions. But this guy proves it's not.
Everybody said that's a bad idea. So the other seven planes came in with the wheels up and just belly landed. Now, after the storm was over, the crews were rescued, but the planes were left there because it was much cheaper, much faster to just build new planes back in 1942. But in 1988, some enterprising American men remembered that those planes were up there, and there's a lot of money in antique aircraft, especially military. And so they decided to go up and get these planes, rehabilitate them and so forth, make some money. And so they took brooms and shovels up there to find these planes. So you have to understand, these planes are not heavy enough to sink into the ice. Wherever they landed is where they stayed, okay? So they crash landed in 1942. Planes stay exactly where they landed. Well, it's only been 46 years. Anybody want to guess, tell me how many inches, or if you prefer feet, of ice and snow they found on top? Anybody?
No,
it's only been 46 years. How much ice and snow do you think they found?
90 feet.
20 feet. Thank you. I have an opening bid of 20. Do I have another bid? 10. Okay, we have a bid of 10 feet, 20 feet. I'll take one more bid.
90.
50 feet. Oh, my goodness. Well, I have to stop the bidding because all of you are just a little low. You see, what we actually found was 250.
Wow.
In 46 years, 250 feet of ice and snow had formed on top of the plains. This is a picture of Glacier Girl as she looked when found 250 feet below the surface. They had to come back. They couldn't find the planes. They took back the brooms and shovels, came back with sonar and radar that would penetrate the ice, finally found the planes 250 to 270 feet below the surface. They actually had to come back with heavy equipment, bore these big holes all the way down 250 feet. They've actually disassembled her, brought her back up in pieces, reassembled her. She's one of the few flying P-38s in the world today. So let's think. It only took 46 years for 250 feet of ice and snow to pile up on top. That's 5.4 foot per year. Is that correct? I don't think those little lines in the polar ice caps are annual rain, because I don't think those are years. I think those little lines are individual storms. That would be much more reasonable, wouldn't it? Oh. Now, this is a picture of the Upper Grand Canyon of Arizona. And here you see hundreds and hundreds of layers of rock, right? I mean, that's a beautiful area. Now, evolutionists would tell you that these layers could span millions and millions, even hundreds of millions of years. But I would like you to think about it for just a second. First of all those layers you see here are sedimentary rock. Now, what is sedimentary rock? Well, it comes from the word sediment, correct? So if I had a glass of water here and I threw dirt and sand into the water, whatever settles to the bottom would be called sediment, correct? So sedimentary rock is a water deposited rock. You remember from school, there's only three kinds of rock: igneous, metamorphic, and sedimentary. All these layers of rock you see here are sedimentary rock. What you really see here are just...
James, you say he convinced himself. He just showed you evidence. I don't get why he said that. He just showed you stalagmites aren't created over millions of years. Diamonds aren't over millions of years. Opals aren't. I don't understand why you disagree with it.
Layers of dried out mud. That's everything you see here. These are just layers of dried out mud. And I say it takes just 1 year to cut that canyon. That these are just the wet mud layers laid down by the flood of Noah, that this whole canyon was cut in just 1 year. Now, of course, you could argue with that. Let's just take a look at it. This is a picture of the south wall of the Grand Canyon taken at sunrise from several miles away. This is the Colorado River. Now, when you see these layers, you see hundreds and hundreds of layers here. Is that correct? But they're all layers of dried out mud. Now, if you were to believe that all these layers came from individual floods, you would have to believe that about 1,000 floods of roughly equal depth occurred one after the other exactly the same way, covering hundreds of thousands of square miles. Now, does that even seem acceptable? That's a little tough, right? And I'd like you to think about something with me for a minute. A good scientist always asks two questions. The first question is, what's there? Meaning, when I make a scientific observation, I have to adequately and accurately describe what is present, what is there. But the second and more important question in science is, what is not there? You often learn more by asking the second question than the first. Now, let's ask ourselves the two most important questions in science concerning the Grand Canyon here. What is there? Well, we have hundreds and hundreds of layers of dried out mud. Now, think with me for a second. If each of those layers was laid down by an individual flood, then there would have to be some time for each layer to be exposed before the next layer was deposited on top. Right? It's one at a time. You know, one layer, then there's a time of exposure, then a second layer, time of exposure, and then a third layer, right? Now, if that were true, if each of these layers here seem flat, although they're not flat, they actually undulate and they twist and turn and meet each other at a 90-degree angle. And if you go to the north side of the canyon and you go up the North Kaibab Trail, there's a place where you can actually see one kind of sedimentary rock completely surrounded by another kind, like a donut. But the donut is surrounded by the kind of dried out mud that's in the middle. Well, if each of these layers is supposed to represent different ages, that each one was laid down, there was a period of time of exposure between the next layer being laid on top, then please tell me, why are there no soil horizons between the rock layers? I mean, if the rock layers have been exposed, we would expect some weathering, we would expect some of the rock to turn into soil, is that correct? But there's no soil horizons between the layers. Why are there no V-shaped erosion marks in the layers? I mean, think with me for a minute. If you have a layer deposited, rain falls, starts to etch a V-shaped erosion mark into the layer, then the next layer comes in, it's going to fill that in, it's going to preserve it, is that correct? But there are no V-shaped erosion marks in these layers. There are no animal holes, there are no root holes. That's all missing. So what does that tell you? It tells you that all of those layers of dried out mud occurred in one year by a big flood called the Flood of Noah. And because there's no soil horizons, V-shaped erosion marks, animal holes, or root holes in the layers, it proves they were all deposited at one time. Now, there are evolutionists who rely heavily upon radiometric dating processes to determine the age of a rock. Now, understand, anytime I use a big word, I always want to define what it means. What does the word radiometric mean? Well, it means the use of radioactive materials to supposedly measure the amount of time since an event has occurred or a creature lived. You've all heard of carbon-14. Maybe you've heard of uranium, lead, potassium, argon, rubidium, strontium. There's all kinds of these, but carbon-14, potassium, argon, rubidium, strontium, uranium, lead, those are the ones that most people know of. Actually, there's over 80 of them. And they say that you can date a rock, millions, billions of years old using these radiometric dating processes. However, that's not true. First of all, none of them work. Not one of them works. Carbon-14 doesn't work. Even the man who invented it, Dr. Libby, admitted it didn't work. But none of them work. First of all, none of them work because they all start with 5 false assumptions, and carbon-14 has 7 false assumptions. Now, would you agree with me that if you have a dating technique based on 5 false assumptions or 7 false assumptions, then you're not going to be able to get a reliable date? Is that correct? I mean, that's right. You also have to remember that in the case of carbon-14, that the Flood of Noah would drastically change the carbon cycle, so that really throws it off. And then would you agree with me on something? If these things actually worked, if they did, and you could use 2 different methods on the same rock, wouldn't you expect them to be approximately the same date? About the same age and so forth. Is that right? I mean, agreed. If you could use 2 different ones on the same rock, if they work, they should be about the same, right? Okay. How about if I was within 10%? Would that be satisfactory? I'm willing to negotiate. What do you want, 15%? 10, okay, well, I got 10's enough, okay. Well, good. Well, here's the problem, you see, not only do these methods not work, there are major contradictions between different dating methods used on the same rock. For example, this is...
Good night, Andrew. Good to see you, mate. It really was.
Sunset Crater National Monument. It is south and east of the Grand Canyon in Arizona. It's a relatively small volcano, beautiful though. It gets the name Sunset because the cinders at the top just glow at sunset. Now, anybody who knows anything about Arizona, New Mexico, that part of the United States would know that there's a large number of Indian ruins in this area. As a matter of fact, there are Indian ruins right in the park area. And so let's think. We know that this eruption can be dated at about 900 years ago. We can do that by tree ring countings because 900 is not a big deal. And we know that there were Native American Indians living in the area. First of all, there were remains of their houses and so forth are there. And also, in the cinder cones, in the lava flows from this eruption, we found Native Indian artifacts. So we know there were people living there at the time that the eruption occurred. And some of their artifacts were trapped in the material from this eruption. So, there were Native Indian artifacts found in the lava flows and cinder cones. Now, this is volcanic rock. Now, when it comes to volcanic rock, the method of choice here would be the potassium-argon method of dating. And so we potassium-argon dated some of this material. And
Bobo, don't say that word that starts with a Q. YouTube zero in on it and gives community strikes.
And the laboratory that did the work came up with a date of 210 to 230,000 years old. I think that's more than 10%. Am I right here? Oh. Or what about this rock? This comes from Australia. This is a piece of volcanic rock from an eruption in Australia. Inside the rock, when we cut it open, we found this burned wood. It's really charcoal. So let's think. This volcano erupted. The rock completely surrounded a piece of wood. There's no question there's no contamination here. The rock completely sealed the wood inside. Now, the heat of the lava caused the wood to burn. And so we were left with basically charcoal inside the rock and lava rock on the outside. Now, of course, since this is charcoal, you would use the carbon-14 dating technique. And the rock is volcanic, so you would use the potassium-argon technique. Now, understand, please, I don't agree with these dates. You do understand that. I believe the Earth and the universe are 6,000 years old. However, the laboratories that did the dates got for the carbon-14 date on this wood an age of 45,000 years old. Now, again, I don't agree with it, but that's what they got. The lab that did the potassium-argon date on the piece of lava got a date of 37 million. I think I see a problem here. I think that's more than 10%. Am I right here? Oh. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I am particularly proud of this particular one, so I want you to take careful attention. Let's go back to...
Bobo, that word that starts with Q, about that, it was the same as the vax. You played anything about the vax, and they give you a community strike. So you got to be careful what you say sometimes.
Year 1801, Hualili, Hawaii, on the big island of Hawaii. Now, you know the Hawaiian Islands are just volcanoes that stick out of the water, right? So I want you to think about this. So the volcanoes of the Hawaiian Islands are just coming up from the ocean floor, sticking out of the water here, 2.6 miles and higher here. But here are these volcanoes in the Hawaiian Islands. Now, in 1801, there was an eruption of one of these volcanoes, and the lava flowed from the top.
It's been erupted for a few months now in Hawaii.
Of the mountain, down the side of the mountain, into the ocean of water, went all the way down the side of the volcano, all the way down to the ocean floor, 2.6 miles down. Okay? Now, people were there to see this eruption occur in 1801. Now, I'm kind of proud of this, so I want you all to pay close attention to this, okay? Are you ready? Come on, you ready? Okay. In 1801, there was an eruption. You missed it, didn't you? Come on, I'll show it to you one more time, okay? In 1801, there was an eruption. Now, you're all supposed to say, ooh. See, I'll show you one more time. See, in 1801, there was an eruption. Ooh. There you go. Well, we got the bright idea. Let's send a robot down and test.
One person wooed.
Test this lava flow for the age using the potassium-argon method. So we sent a robot down. It went down 0.8 of a mile, got a 0 million years old. Well, first of all, that is correct because think with me for a second. It was only 200-year-old material. Potassium argon is not good on hundreds, thousands, hundreds of thousands. It's only good on millions. And so if this material is only 200 years old, then 0 million is correct. Everybody with me here? We got the bright idea though. Let's take the robot, let's go down 2 miles, took a sample, got a potassium argon date of 12 million years. Said, well, that's interesting. Let's send the robot all the way down to the ocean floor, 2.6 miles down, took a sample, got a potassium argon date of 21 million. I think I see a problem here. How about you? These methods do not work. None of them work. They all start with 5 false assumptions or 7 false assumptions, and none of them work. Well, let's go on. This is my favorite kind of fossil. Now, my favorite kind of fossil is called a polystrate fossil. Now, again, when I use a big word, I always like to explain what it means. All of you would know the word poly means many, correct? Now, straight, strat, stratum, this all refers to layers. And so a polystrate fossil is any fossil which penetrates through 2 or more layers of the fossil record. Now, they are usually tree trunks, but they're often bone. But any fossil that penetrates through 2 or more layers of the fossil record, they are usually tree trunks, but they... Now, here you see in this photograph from Australia, many, many layers. Is that correct? Everybody see the polystrate tree trunk? Well, if you can't, it's right there. But what's particularly interesting about it is this. First of all, it's not petrified, it's coalified. This is a tree trunk turned to coal, but you'll notice it has no roots and no tops. It's just a log. Is that correct? Kind of tells you it didn't grow there, doesn't it? Well, let's think about this. How did coal form anyway? I mean, how many of you remember being taught in school the old swamp theory of coal formation? They used to teach us in school back, when I was in grade school. They used to say, oh, there were forests and swamps covering the earth 360 million supposed years ago at the time of the Carboniferous period, that these trees grew up in these swamps and they fell over and died, and they built up in the water of the swamp. And because there's so little oxygen in the swamp water, the trees piled up one on top of the other. And that's how we got coal. Does that sound at all familiar? But nobody teaches that anymore, at least not any honest evolutionist, because they all know it's not true. You see, first of all, let's take a little look. Here, you see some small coal layers or coal seams. Is that correct? But first of all, think with me. You notice it's flat on the bottom and flat on the top. Is that correct? So first of all, does anybody here see roots coming down from below these layers? No roots. It's flat on the top, flat on the bottom. Yeah. Number 2, you only find natural gas, coal, and natural oil between layers of sedimentary rock. Now, what is sedimentary rock? That's layers of dried out mud. Is that correct? So you only find natural gas, natural coal, natural oil between layers of dried out mud or some kind of sandstone. But there's something else here too. Notice right here. See how this coal seam forks right here? At the fork right there? Well, once they started realizing that, they started realizing the swamp theory simply wasn't true, and they stopped teaching it altogether. Now, this is a pure layer of anthracite coal. Now, anthracite coal is the hardest, densest, blackest, bestest coal there is. Anthracite coal is the really good stuff. Now, this comes from our state of Michigan, but this is about 1.5 to 2 foot thick layer of pure anthracite coal. They're really good stuff. Now, let's think. To get anthracite coal, you have to have a 10-foot thick layer of plant and wood deposits compressed down to 10 to 1. Okay, so it takes 10 feet of material compressed to 1 foot to get hard anthracite coal. Now, if you take 10 feet and you compress it maybe 3 to 1, you get soft coals like lignites, and 5 to 1, you'll get soft coal, and maybe down to 5, 7 to 1, you'll get bituminous coals and so forth. But it takes 10 to 1 compression ratio to get anthracite coal. However, in our state of Utah, we have a pure layer of anthracite coal 200 foot thick. Now that tells you there had to be a layer of...
Well, women at the start, Bobo, I'd hate to see you in a dress. I'd have nightmares, mate.
Logs and vegetable material 2,000 foot thick there at some time in the past. to be compressed down to 200. Is that correct? I would suggest you only a worldwide
Just joking, you realise.
flood could do that. A layer of logs and wood, 2,000 foot thick, all in one place, all at one time, would require a worldwide flood. And this is a bell found in 1944 in medium grade coal in our state of West Virginia, but the coal is supposedly 300 million years old. Oh, it's a very unique alloy and has a iron clapper on it and so forth. But this is a pre-flood bell used between creation 6,000 years ago and the flood of Noah by somebody, and trapped in the coal from the flood. And does it take millions of years for fossils to form? I mean,
It's 8
you know,
times I picked you up.
I grew up on the campus at the University of California, Berkeley. Now, I did that because my father was a student at Berkeley. He got his degrees at Berkeley. He went on to become a professor at Berkeley, at one time a secretary of the president. And I actually grew up on the campus of the University of California, Berkeley. Now, that's the bad news. Here's the good news. The good news is that when I was not in the California public school system learning evolution in elementary school, well, I was in the paleontology laboratories at the University of California, Berkeley, learning about dinosaurs, fossils, and evolutionary theory from PhDs when I was just in elementary school. I learned about this so well that by the time I hit the 3rd and 4th grade, they used to borrow me from one class to the other. And I used to teach the other children about fossils, dinosaurs, and evolutionary theory because I knew more about it than the teachers did. That's an absolutely true story. Now, they taught me back in those days at Berkeley that it takes millions and millions of years to get fossils. They told me that dinosaurs, been dead for 65 to 70, up to 150 million supposed years. But I don't believe that anymore. I don't. And here's why. They say it takes millions and millions of years for fossil to form. Is that correct? Right? Well, let me show you a fossil. This is kind of an interesting fossil. It's called a Teddybearosaurus. Now, this Teddybearosaurus fossilized, it only took 4 months. This was formed along the Thames River in England. There's a place where they have this overhang and a walkway underneath, and it's limestone rock, and there's water that comes over the limestone rock along the Thames River there, and people actually walk along underneath, and they tie tennis shoes and teddy bears and other things, Coca-Cola bottles, on long strings, and they come back, and 4 months later, they have a fossil. You're not impressed? Well, how about this fossil? This is a coil of man-made rope, but this fossilized in only 2 weeks. Are you impressed?
Yep.
Well, if you're not impressed yet, how about this? I think you'll agree. That is a fossilized fish. Is that correct? But this fossil fish is quite interesting. You see, according to the evolutionists who found it, it died and was fossilized in less than 5 hours.
How do they know that?
You see, this comes from Brazil, the Santana Formation, which was reported in 1989. But we found fossil fish with fossil gills, fossil muscles, fossil stomachs. The evolutionist paleontologist who found it did not allow his theory to get in the way of a good scientific observation. I applaud him for that. I really do. I really do. And he said this, quote, "What is clear is that the fossilization process took place moments after the fish died and was completed within only a few, probably less than 5 hours," unquote. But he went on to say this, in this case, quote, "Instantaneous fossilization," unquote, "is suspected to have been the very cause of death." Did you get that? DOA, fossil. This evolutionist paleontologist was making a valid scientific observation. I do applaud him for this. He was being honest. He didn't let his theory get in the way of his, observation. And he made a good scientific observation. What he said was, based upon what he found, the cause of death might well have been fossilization. So I guess it doesn't take millions of years to get a fossil, is that right? Oh. And then we have helium missing from the Earth's atmosphere. Helium is made in the crust of the Earth by the decay of radioactive material. It's the only way helium is basically made on Earth. Now, let's think about this. It's produced by the decay of radioactive materials like uranium in the crust of the Earth. Now, when that helium is made in the crust of the Earth by the decay of radioactive materials, it leaks out through the rock because it's an inert gas. It won't combine with anything else. It leaks out of the rock and into the atmosphere. Now, it is not lost into outer space. As a matter of fact, we actually get a slight...
He's not talking about Uranus, is he, guys? Surely. Listen to this again. Is he talking about Uranus?
Helium is made in the crust of the Earth by the decay of radioactive material. It's the only way helium is basically made on Earth. Now, let's think about this. It's produced by the decay of radioactive materials like uranium in the crust of the Earth.
Oh, uranium. I thought yeah.
Now, when that helium is made in the crust of the Earth by the decay of radioactive materials, it leaks out through the rock because it's an inert gas. It won't combine with anything else. It leaks out of the rock and into the atmosphere. Now, it is not lost into outer space. As a matter of fact, we actually get a slight addition of helium to the Earth's atmosphere by cosmic winds, but it's not lost into space. So whatever helium has been made on Earth is still basically here. The problem is this. Though it escapes in the atmosphere and stays here, there's only enough for the atmosphere to be less than 2 million years old. Now, I would find it problematic to have an Earth that was 4.6 billion years old, but an atmosphere that was less than 2 million. How much here? And here, there's too much salt in the Dead Sea. Now, here's a satellite photograph of Israel. Here's the Sea of Galilee, the Jordan River, the Dead Sea here. But the Dead Sea has too much salt in it for it to be old. The north end today is 31% salt, the south end 37% salt. This is why you can't drown in it unless you strap on about 500 pounds of lead weights. But think with me for just a moment. All this salt would actually accumulate in less than 13,000 years. But evolutionists will tell you that the Jordan River Valley, this volcanic rift valley that we have here, they will say it is anything from 5 to 10 up to 20 million years old. But think with me for just a second. If, in fact, the Dead Sea were, and the Jordan River Valley were 5, 10, 20 million years old, well, that means that the Jordan River flowing into the Dead Sea would have to be cleaner than distilled water for 20 million years. Anybody here ever seen the Jordan River?
No.
It's not that clean, right? So this is what we call a regional geochronometer. But it simply shows that this is not 5, 10, 20 million years old. It's less than 13,000 and totally acceptable with only 6,000 or, in fact, 4,500, which is from the time of Noah's flood. I'm sure you've also all noticed that the moon is moving away, right?
Yeah.
You all had noticed the moon is moving away, right? Where are your powers of observation, people? The moon is moving away from the Earth at a staggeringly fast rate. Come on, are you all ready to be staggered? Come on, are you all ready to be staggered? Well, the moon is moving away at a staggeringly fast rate. It's moving away at 2 inches a year.
Diane, you know me really well. Sometimes I just don't get involved.
Come on, 2 inches a year. Aren't you staggered?
By the time I type something, you've moved on.
Think with me for just a second. Today, you don't have to believe me. Today, you can prove this in a laptop computer, desktop computer at home or the office. The moon is moving away at 2 inches per year. Now, do any of you remember something called the law of gravity? Come on, you all do remember something called the law of gravity, right? And the law of gravity says basically that as two objects get closer together, there's a stronger and stronger pull together. Is that right?
Yep.
Now, it's an inverse square law. You half the distance, you quadruple the force, and so forth. But you plug the formula into a laptop computer today, and you can prove to yourself, think with me, if the moon is moving away at 2 inches per year now, well, if I go back 1 year, it would be 2 inches closer, correct? Another year would be 2 inches closer. But as the moon starts to come back towards the Earth, well, then the force of gravity starts to increase. Is that correct? And the rate at which the moon comes back gets faster and faster, correct? Now, again, as I said, you can prove this on a laptop computer, that if you go back in time, the moon would come back in, spiral in, and hit the Earth 1.4 billion years ago. Now, evolutionists say that the Earth and the Moon are the same age. They said they're 4.5 to 5 billion supposed years old. Most of them say 4.6 billion. But if evolutionists were telling the truth, then that would mean that the Moon was attached to the Earth for the first 3.6 billion years. Is that correct? And then it has been moving away ever since. Have I got that right? Hello? Now, there's something else I want you to notice here. Did you notice the bouncing arrow? And did you notice down here, I'm going from the age of the Earth at 4.6 billion, and it's getting younger. So did everybody see that now? I want you to, okay, right, here's the bouncing arrow. And then the age of the Earth gets younger. So, is that cool? Oh, come on, that's neat, right? Thank you. We want to keep watching these bouncing arrows. You also want to keep, watching the bouncing arrows and the age of the Earth getting younger down here, okay? Just kind of keep that in mind as you're watching slides. Well, let's think about this too. If the Moon comes back towards the Earth and the force of gravity gets in, ever larger, well, what's it going to do? Well, what is the major physical impact of the Moon upon the Earth? It is tides, correct? Now, if the Moon starts to come back towards the Earth, well, let's think about this. If the Moon comes back towards the Earth, the tides would get higher and higher, correct? Right? Now, if you go back 1/2 billion years, and again, just on a laptop computer, well, the tides on Earth would rise 1 mile high twice a day. I think my first question would be, do you know how to
Bobo, wasn't it you asking about the tides and the Moon?
breathe underwater? And keep in mind, if the tides rise 1 mile twice a day, just in your mind start thinking about erosion for just a minute, okay? Now, another argument that evolutionists use, supposing that the universe is, well, millions and billions of years old, they say it takes millions and billions of years for light to travel here from distant stars, distant galaxies. Is that correct? Now, I'd like to ask everybody a question. How many of you were told, as I was, the speed of light is a constant? Come on, so they taught us the speed of light is a constant, right? 186,000 miles a second, 300,000 kilometers a second. Is that correct? But how many of you know that's not true? The speed of light is not a constant. As a matter of fact, if you're looking for this material, I have it on my website in a free article you can just download. And I'm citing mostly evolutionary scientists. But the fact of the matter is, the speed of light is not a constant. You see, these are just some of the citations of work done in the last few years. But we've actually been able to measure the speed of light slowing down since 1675, when Romer made the first measurements of the speed of light in an accurate way. But research done in the last 10 years has been able to actually accelerate light, decelerate light, and even stop it and start it again. Now, if you can speed it up, slow it down, stop it, and start it again, would you agree with me it's not a constant? Is that right? Oh. Now, I will point out, too, here, the creation astronomer, Dr. Barry Sutterfield of Australia, using one method of scientific approach in astronomy, and Novgorod, Russia, which is my sort of headquarters in Russia. I always go to Russia twice a year. I've been there 28 times and so forth. But he is an atheist, but he's an astronomer working in Russia in Nizhny Novgorod, and Dr. Sutterfield working in Australia, one a creationist, one an evolutionist, and using two totally different methods of scientific proof, have come to the same conclusion. Both of them conclude that at one time recently, the speed of light may well have been 10 million times faster than today. Now, if the speed of light were 10 million times faster than today at sometime in the recent past, I think that would drastically change your idea of how long it takes light to get here from distant objects. Is that correct? I think so too. And I'm sure you've all noticed that the galaxies are rotating too fast. Is that right?
I noticed
well, you
that.
have noticed, right?
Yep,
You
I
haven't
noticed.
Where are your powers of observation, people?
I looked out and I saw the stars had moved like 100 degrees. So I saw it. I'm just joking, guys.
Cool. Yeah. Now, not all galaxies rotate, but there are two kinds of galaxies specifically that do rotate. And when we take a look at these rotating galaxies, it doesn't matter how far across the universe we see, they're rotating too fast. Evolutionists call this the winding up dilemma. They've known about it for over 60 years. But it doesn't matter how far away we look in the
Why do they always go anti-clockwise?
universe, we see distinct spiral galaxies at great distances in every direction. Now, I want you to think about this for a second. When we see these spiral galaxies, we see clear spirals, we see individual stars at great distances, but these galaxies are rotating. Now, we can measure how fast they rotate. Now, if you think about it, if some of these galaxies were as old as evolutionists claim, they would be 100 to 200 turns since they were created or came into existence. But if they had turned 100 to 200 times, when we take a picture of them, they should just look like a smear on the photographic plate. But instead, we see them as distinct spirals with just 1-2 turns, perhaps, at great distances. This tells you they haven't been rotating all that long. As a matter of fact, it limits the age of these galaxies to, at most, well, a few 100 million years old. Now, if the universe is less than a few 100 million years old, then the Earth must be less than a few 100 million years old. Is that correct? You all are watching the bouncing arrows, right? Okay, I'll do that one more time now. Okay, see, there's the bouncing arrow, and the age of the Earth gets younger, right? Well, let's
I told you his jokes are terrible.
continue. There's too much salt in the seas. I mentioned there's too much salt in the Dead Sea, but there's too much salt in the regular seas as well. Today, the oceans are approximately 3.5% salt content. Now, the total amount of salt in the oceans today would accumulate at current rates of accumulation between 42 and 62 million years. That makes the Earth's oceans less than 62 million years old, which of course would make the Earth younger. Is that right? And this is the Cape Hatteras Lighthouse, made famous in the United States. It's in North Carolina. It was built in 1870, one of the most historic lighthouses in the United States. When it was built in 1870, it was 1,500 feet from the water. Okay, so it's 1,500 feet from the ocean in 1870. In 1989, 116 years later, it was 160 feet from the ocean. I don't think the light
You think, James, you think it's similar? Maybe.
has moved. Well, actually, it did. You see, in 1999, we moved it back 2,950 feet from the water to try to preserve it as a.
You talk to yourself. I talk to the TV when someone's on. Hey, do this, do that, as though they actually hear me. You've heard me do that here, guys.
Historic lighthouse. But even now, we think it may only preserve it for another 100 years. And let's think about this erosion problem. These are the White Cliffs of Dover, made famous in song and history. Now,
See, I told you, Diane, you. I'm really passionate about it so they can hear me too. Same as when I'm watching football or cricket.
evolutionists say that the White Cliffs of Dover are Cretaceous deposits made 65 million supposed years ago. Now, the White Cliffs of Dover are basically trillions of single-celled creatures called diatoms that are fossilized. It's actually what you make toothpaste out of. It is. That's the abrasive in toothpaste. Now, let's think about this. According to evolutionists, the White Cliffs of Dover are 65 million years old, correct? I don't think so. Think of it for just a moment. The continents are all eroding too fast for the Earth to be old. The cliffs of Dover, if they were eroding away at only a half a foot per year for 65 million years.
I wonder how far it has receded, the White Cliffs. Not by his estimate, just normal. I wonder how much it's receded in the last 100 years.
Well, that would be about 6,200 miles of coastline that would have to have been eroded westward through England.
I saw photos of farms at the White Cliffs of Dover, and over time, the cliffs swallowed the farms up. I think they even swallowed up a town.
That's greater than the distance between, say, Tokyo and London. If you hadn't noticed, England's not that wide. And these are 5 photographs taken from 1986 to 2002 at Happisburgh, England. You can clearly see in this photography right here the erosion of the coast in only 16 years. Is that correct? And you can actually see it happen before your eyes. Is that right? As a matter of fact, think with me for a moment. Since the Roman times, 2,000 years ago, the English North Sea coast has eroded 2 miles west along the east coast of England. We know of 35 villages in the Roman census 2,000 years ago that have been completely lost into the sea. That's an average of 5 foot per year. Clearly, that erosion rate, cannot have been going on for millions and millions of years. Is that right? There simply wouldn't be in England. And let's face it, if you erode off the land, you've got to erode into the oceans. Is that correct? I mean, you erode the mud off the land, it goes in the ocean. But there's not enough mud in the oceans. You see, when we take a look at the ocean floor, we have recently discovered a spot in the Pacific where there is no mud. It's exposed bedrock. But even being super generous, trying to find the greatest, thickest layer of mud anywhere on the ocean floor today, all of the mud would still accumulate in less than 12 million years. So that would make the Earth young. Is that right? And then, of course, this is the beautiful Cat's Eye Nebula. Now, a nebula is an exploded dead star. Now, some of them are beautiful, some of them are just downright ugly. But a nebula is an exploded dead star. Now, listen to me very, very carefully. In spite of anything you've seen on TV, radio, magazines, movies, or whatever, we have never, ever seen a star born. Did you hear me? We have never, ever seen a star born. If evolutionists were correct, then suppose it would take millions and millions of years for stars to be born. Now, have we been around that long? So we've never, ever seen a star born. You understand me? Another thing, too, think with me for just a moment. Now, I'll try to say this in the most diplomatic way I can think of, and I hope you'll agree it was. Tell me something. If you took one photograph of a human baby being born, okay, so if you take one photograph of a human baby being born, and the photograph was taken in the middle of the birth canal, could you tell whether the baby was coming or going?
No, he couldn't.
No. Not based on one photograph, is that right? We have never, ever seen a star born. But we have seen stars die, and when they die, they explode, and they push out gas in millions and millions of miles, and what's left of the star illuminates behind the gas so we can see the gas. It's, as I say, some are absolutely beautiful, some are just downright ugly. Now, here's the thing. There are too few super galaxies in our galaxy, or in the universe, for that matter, for it to be old. Now, we can count them. One star dies about every 25 years per galaxy. So approximately one star dies per 25 years per galaxy. Now, evolutionists claim that the Milky Way galaxy, that's our galaxy, is 10 million years old. Here's the problem. We can only find 200 dead stars in the Milky Way galaxy. This indicates the age of our galaxy is less than 7,000 years old, or perfectly consistent with 6,000. But if evolutionists were telling the truth, there should...
James, is this making you think how old the Earth is or not? Is he getting through?
be 400,000 dead stars in our galaxy, but there's only 200. And understand that we can see in other nearby galaxies like Andromeda, we can also see stars exploding and dying. And
James.
One for 25 years per galaxy. But
James, I was trying to do a carrot nose for the snowman joke with a woman, but I couldn't make it fit anywhere without sounding dirty.
They're missing.
So you come back with snowballs?
It proves them.
I got snow avalanches then.
The whole thing is young. I'm sure you've also noticed that the sun is rotating too fast, right? Come on, you've all noticed the sun is rotating too fast, right? Please do me a favor, don't go out and stare at it. But I want you to think about this. As the Earth and Moon are rotating, so is the sun. The sun is a huge ball of gas. It's 860,000 miles across. It's basically 430,000 miles in radius. It's a huge ball of gas, and it is rotating. Now, it is incorrect to believe that the sun is a huge fusion furnace and it's all burning up. That is not true. It isn't burning up. But there is a small fusion furnace in the center of the sun, which is, so to speak, burning up. Now,
Traffic triggering your cravings? Relieve them with Nicorette, the #1 stop smoking brand in Australia.
This robotic puppy looks so real, it completely fooled my neighbour who's a veterinarian. I've been a grandmother for 15 years.
4 Australian Essex.
Okay, I just wanted to load that.
He's one of the very few popes who was given. Usually, when you think of a parade, you would think of something like Thanksgiving, considering today is Thanksgiving. This is Tony. Hope you're all doing well. You probably wouldn't think of something like a demon hybrid parade, particularly ones with very advanced robots looking very real.
No, but I love Christmas. Around Christmas, when my cousin comes up, we go and walk around the neighbourhood and look at all the Christmas lights. It's a beautiful night when we do it.
Ballistic, extremely giant. As you see in this video here in France.
Invocation that is being narrated as if Lilith.
It's very interesting they said Lilith, because if you look at these pseudepigraphical texts, they say that Adam's first wife was Lilith, and then after that, because she rebelled immediately, he put him in a sleep and pulled a rib out of his side to create Eve. Now, you don't see this in Scripture, but you do see it in some of the surrounding texts of the Scriptures, which, of course, a lot of Christians don't ever read because we're told they're bad, they're forbidden. You should never read these other texts, these apocryphal texts, these pseudepigraphical texts. Strangely, some of them talk about Lilith. Lilith being the first female that turned into a hybrid herself when she was created, and then Eve had to be created or taken out of Adam as his wife. Now, what's interesting is I saw this over on Shane Miller's channel. His video is going viral about this parade in France, which, interestingly, no one else saw. No one in the West really saw this parade at all. It was very much left out of the media. And even over on X, you couldn't really see much of any posts going viral about this. But this is really bizarre. They have straight up all the satanic symbols in it. And what was really curious is some of the deep, dark connections that I discovered, and it leads all back to a dream I had about almost 2 years ago now. And it ties in so bizarrely into that dream, into what I discovered in our true eschatology that has been hidden regarding the end times that we've been in for a far longer period of time than people realize. Some think that we're just getting into the end time. This is the end right now. We've been in it for a long, long, long time, actually. 1,500 years. 1,500 years. It sounds like, what are you, crazy? Are you serious? You think that we've been in the end for 1,500 years? Yeah, actually. I'll show you, actually. And some of you don't want to turn this off once you hear this.
Diane, if I could afford it, I would have brought you out here years ago. A whole lot of years. We'll be able to do that soon anyway.
You're going to be pretty shocked. You're going to be pretty shocked at what I have to show you. There was literally a pope with the name 66 and another 6. Literally. His name is Pope Sixtus III.
Diane, you'd want edibles, wouldn't you?
I'm going to go through a bunch of stuff about him and connected to this, actually, believe it or not, that this city, Paris, may actually be the seat, of course, of Satan right now. And why was that one chosen? Over the Vatican, his first seat, which he fell at the fall of Rome, which I'm going to show you that as well as we get into this video. The actual true eschatology, it's not Tim LaHaye's Left Behind, all right? something that happened so long ago that no one really knows about it, even though it's recorded in history, in historical books that no one seems to know about. Actually, multiple books that are by primary historians, Flavius Josephus, Pliny, Tacitus. It's kind of strange, actually, how no one knows any of these things. So let's go over some of the stuff from this parade first.
He thinks we've already lived in 1,000 years of Christ's rule, and he comes up with all these reasons, but I still don't. I think he's completely wrong there. So I don't know how he can be so wise yet be so wrong.
First, and then we'll get into all the weird stuff, the dark stuff that ties into it.
Come on, man.
Check this out. This is another clip about the first symbol they show.
So they open right away with the two-ringed gate symbol. So this is connected to like portals or gateway imagery. Basically, it's like, the left circle could look like an entry point, and then you have the right circle, which would be like an exit point for the portal, which is like, the veil between two worlds. So this directly connects to Lilith's description that you'll see later that.
So he's saying this is one portal entry and exit portal. It's kind of a.
Yeah, James, my partner doesn't get involved in edibles at all.
Interesting. He goes on to talk about how, this one's pretty obvious and self-explanatory, I think. You got a 6 here, 1 here, and 1 here. Again, a lot of people think that we're right now just getting in the end. But what if it already happened 1,500 years ago, and we actually already had the 1,000-year millennial kingdom called the Middle Ages or medieval times, and then we were in the short time of the devil, the short season of the devil for 500 years, and we're actually coming to the end of that. So meaning we're actually at the end.
500 is not a short season. Jeez. I wish he wouldn't go down this tangent.
End of Revelation, where we've already had the millennial kingdom, and now we have the short time of the devil basically deceiving the entire world, all the nations. That might explain why no one knows what's going on anywhere, and everything seems to be going to hell in a handbasket all the time. And then we're literally at the end when he comes back in like the final war, right? And then the judgment seats and the books are opened, all that will be next.
Couldn't have been too smutty. I didn't pick up the smut. Well, maybe I'm too smutty too.
Next.
Actually, I keep my smutty out of this.
Could be in that time rather than the one before the millennial kingdom. And I could show you, I've covered this before on video, but I got a lot of new stuff. And I think I know now the seat of Satan, where his first seat was Rome. His second seat now is Paris. And I got some rather curious things to prove this. And I believe this parade is actually the thing that sort of led me to it. This weird.
There's people who say Macron is the Antichrist as soon as he got in. I didn't even look at it because he's not the Antichrist, but people were thinking he was.
Parade of Minotaurs in Lilith and gates being opened. I didn't even know about this. This thing was hidden from all of us. Macron's French government funded a Nephilim demon-like hybrid being event-tainted and satanic, and of course, other symbolism. Nobody in the U.S. even heard about it. Lilith and Baal right in front of your face. Spiritual battle that's showing you exactly who they are. Trans-paraded demon-like hybrids. Minotaur.
Lilith wasn't married to Adam at all. If she was, the Bible would have told us. The Bible tells us Adam got created, then not long afterwards Eve by the rib. So where did Lilith come from?
Lilith. And of course, one of the most popular books right now is called Morning Glory Milking Farm, which is about, and this is pretty bad, but this is popular among the women. Not all women, of course, but certain women really can't. As a matter of fact, they even make these TikToks about how they will never give up this book. And they are really emphatic about it. It's about you getting, of course, off Minotaurs. No joke. Yeah. That's literally what the book's about. Yeah, that's actually what I'm, just as you're thinking. Okay, just as you're thinking, okay, that's what glory, of course, whole. That's why it says Glory Milking Farm. That's literally
No, morning glory. It means morning glory. Ladies, I'm just saying what it means. It means when you wake up with your erection in the morning because you need to urinate. That's called a morning glory.
what the book's about. All right, so that's kind of weird, right? You got minotaurs here. These are hybrid beings. This guy here, like I already talked about, this is where I showed these first clips from the channel Shane Miller. Go check them out. But like I said, we're going to get into a ton of stuff in this video. Let's just get into this more here. We got the rise of Lilith, recent parade in Toulouse, France, Guardian of the Temple, which included a giant minotaur, representation of Lilith, hence feminist, control.
God's watching all this, guys. There's the main street of France doing this. Brazil done its own little effort of this sort of stuff. Man, no wonder God's so pissed off. Look at that.
Let's see here. Looks pretty elaborate.
Oh, it's got the tail of a scorpion. I didn't pick that up.
Pretty elaborate, as you can tell, right there. And you can see here the Minotaur as well. You got here another robot.
Now, Vasi just mentioned that people say Lilith married Adam was his first wife. He didn't condone it or anything. He just said that is a question out there. But if you trust the Bible, you know it's not true. I saw the palace in Crete that had labyrinths underneath them that were for the Minotaur. I didn't see it, I saw it on YouTube. But yeah, Crete is where the Minotaur was. And the ruins of the palace have got all these tunnels underneath them.
And you got it meeting with Lilith there. Spider-like legs, horns, of course, no top. You can see here the Minotaur.
The wife calls and leave me alone. Oh man, that was funny, James.
It takes a lot of people to run it. See, there's a lot of people running it. There's a guy up here. There's two in the front. I think there's one in the back there. There's multiple people running this thing. And have this parade down the road, right? And it's kind of interesting because we're clearly in a spiritual war. And this guy, I saw this clip. I was looking for more clips on this parade, kind of getting a little bit more information, doing a little bit of a deep dive. And I found this guy's video here on TikTok talking about him praying. And while he's in prayer, God kept telling him the same thing over and over and over. And eventually decided he's going to make it.
I wonder how intelligent the Minotaur was, because he's a hybrid of the fallen angels. That's obvious. I wonder how intelligent he was. Did he have the angels' intelligence?
Video about this.
Or was he just a mongrel in the tunnels?
Check this out.
The world is coming from Paris, France. So my name is Phoenix, and all darkness in the world is coming from Paris, France. So my name is Phoenix, and I can see into the spirit realm. If you don't know me, God has given me the ability to be able to see into the spirit realm. I have this ability just like Ezekiel, Daniel, Elijah, and John all had in the Bible, as well as Amos. With this gifting, God shows me a lot of the things specifically concerning the entire world. It's something that's been coming up for the past year is Paris. You guys have followed me for a while. You've seen.
I know who this guy is.
I've made a couple of videos of this touching on the subject before, but God has really been putting it on my heart that He really wants me to share this message specifically. I've prayed on this endlessly and have gotten so many confirmations from Him that it would be very foolish of me and blatantly disobedient if I did not share this anymore. So pretty much God always shows me that for whatever reason, Paris is the head of the kingdom of darkness in this world at this time. Multiple times He's shown me visions of the entire world being covered by this dark, evil cloud. And it's the same darkness and the same energy as Satan whenever I've seen him. He's like this massive black dragon. I've had so many dreams and visions of this giant black serpent, Satan, in Paris, underground somewhere. If you know, Paris is famous for its catacombs. A lot of these dreams and visions, God shows me this stream or this beam of darkness just coming up from Paris and just spreading out to cover the entire world. And in all of these dreams, all this darkness is always spreading from Paris, showing me repeatedly that Paris is the head of Satan's kingdom of darkness here on this world. Don't know exactly.
You know why this may, let's see what he has to say here.
Why he wanted me to share.
He doesn't know exactly why. Okay. So check this out. I had a dream, actually had a couple dreams about this 2 years ago. I was trying to, honestly, I wasn't trying to figure out anything. God just gave me these weird dreams. I was sort of looking into things, obviously, in scripture, but I got these weird dreams and it gave me like 7 clues as to what was really going on in our world and what time we were really in. And it led me on this huge trail of doing research as I found out all these little breadcrumbs and what they really meant. And there was something that happened back in the Middle Ages where a woman was exalted and a man was condemned, both in a courtroom. And it was a papal courtroom. And I didn't know who it was referring to. And it said that the woman was also in movies today. Like you could go to a movie theater and see her on the big screen. And some people say, well, was she hearing from God or from the devil? And so that was another aspect of my dream. So I'm like, who is this woman? Who is this woman that got exalted? That some said listen to the devil, some said listen to God. And who is this man that got condemned that was her friend? And then I saw in the dream also that the same demons were behind both people. And now I know who it was after doing research.
Guys, I'm going to call it quits in a minute.
Because God gave me a clue. Because I was like trying to figure out, like, who could this be? I'm like, who is this, right? And he said, you know that date, 440 AD, where Pope Sixtus III lived? This is what God was telling me. I'm like, yeah. And he's like, add 1,000 years to that. I'm like, okay, 1440. So I typed in 1440, court case, Vatican, and it came up with Joan of Arc and Gilda Ray. Gilda Ray got condemned. He was friends with Joan of Arc. Joan of Arc got exalted. Joan of Arc, some people say was listening to demons. Some say was listening to God. Who was she listening to? She lived in France. Okay. And what God showed me also in the dream is that this is when the devil got out of the bottomless pit, was in that time frame, 1440 AD. And his first act was through Gilda Ray and Joan of Arc. So his very first act, getting out of the bottomless pit, was to show Joan of Arc as a strong female warrior, taking the place of a man is usually a warrior, not the female. So she took a man role as a female warrior, and then the man got destroyed. This man was also a warrior, but he got destroyed.
Guys, same time tomorrow. God bless you guys. I'm out.
Because he became this insane person who did a lot of very bad things. Very, 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 very bad things. He was one of the first serial, killers in about 1,000.